Here we go.
You really think you have a chance against us, Mr. Cowboy?
Hey, motherfucker. What do you like to do?
Oh, I don't know. Play chess. Screw.
Well, let's play chess.
They give off to Jonathan Taylor. Jump cutting his way close to the goal line. He's in there. Touchdown. I-N-D-Y. Jonathan Taylor.
Wheeler finds Quan from the logo.
Here's Halliburton into the front court. Mishandled it, but gets a shot. Hits it. Hits it.
John, I have never been better to be on the air with you here in Indianapolis, a place where so many of my dreams have come true.
The Ride with JMV on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
So you had a little bit of activity last night for the Pacers. We will get into that. Kind of interesting. The two selections for the Pacers in round number 2. And, you know, especially this season, there may be some impact going on. We shall see. I will tell you this, after a couple of conversations this morning, and we will wait to get those in the know as usual on this show until the rules permit. The NBA is a little whacked with being able to report stuff but not talk about stuff. Know what I mean? It's about as whack as going up and knowing that you're going to a different team, but grabbing the hat of the team that has traded that selection or traded you. It's just really weird stuff. One of these days, you would like to think you would become more gelled in this capacity like the NFL and be more everybody fan-friendly. But until that point in time, let us get a little bit deeper into July, early stages of July. And then, because there's a lot of stuff to talk about, there's going to be a lot more to talk about. I can tell you that. But there's a lot of stuff to talk about. And you could tell one thing with these guys, and this does make me happy. Some of you will roll your eyes, and I'm assuming those that roll your eyes are those out there that just don't understand. But you can tell by the way they continue to do things that this whole team concept, this team orientation with the Pacers is not going away anytime soon. Not anytime soon. And I love it. This is their identity, and I want this to be their identity. This time a year ago, I did not want anything to work as much as I had crossed my fingers and hoped the whole run it back worked. And it paid off. I want this to continue. I want to see these other teams come to the realization that if, no matter what market size, if you're able to balance things and create more of a team concept, and believe me, in this era, I mean, look at all the Ace Bailey stuff right now. I've got a great deal of admiration for the Ainge family in Salt Lake City. So what's this guy want to do? Well, the hell with this guy. And I know this has happened before. This happened in the NFL with Eli Manning, with the Chargers, and with the Giants. We know that. But I like the fact that in Salt Lake City, with the Jazz, you just stand, say, hey, this is who was available. This is who we drafted. This is where you're going to play. And then we'll see what happens coming up after that. And then a little bit later on, the Lakers will swoop in and probably get the deal of a lifetime, like usual. This is not that easy for everybody else. It's always easy for the Lakers. Everybody's always ready, willing, and able to bend over for the Lakers. I mean, look what happened. You know, the rest of the league had to bend over like the Mavericks did for the Lakers midseason, and then the league felt compelled to make sure that there was a little benefit for Nico Harrison and what he was going through at the tail end of it. It's probably not true, but I think it sounds like a pretty damn good story, doesn't it? But I like the concept. I like what they're doing, and I think that of all the things that we have gone through with the Pacers over the years and over decades, this is the one thing that has become most embraceable. The younger generation gets it, right? The younger generation is about athleticism and the NBA and 10-second videos because you just can't pay attention to anything. Your attention span's about 12 seconds. So 10 seconds is about as all you can muster. But I like it more so than anything else. My contemporaries, like Generation X old schoolers, and those older than me, have looked at this product and have embraced it for the first time in a while. And I don't have to hear how college and high school is what they like to watch because it's more of a team concept. It's more team-oriented. I can tell you this from conversations, and believe me, I don't need the conversations. I can tell you this just by watching. They have fully embraced the team concept. And we shall go over those selections coming up in just a bit. I think a lot of it does make sense to most out there. Now, the Cam Jones part, it's interesting. I'm sure Butler fans probably saw a lot of him this particular year. Talented player, older player, been there for a while. So it all does kind of make sense. But when you saw that, I know a lot of people had kind of guessed that that was the direction that they would end up going. And that's where they end up going. Also adding at this point in time some guys that are going to play for the Boom in Noblesville, the former Mad Ants, and a little bit of Summer League. I saw this a little bit earlier. Stephen Ashworth, you guys have seen him at Creighton. Samson Johnson. You've certainly seen him, well, I believe at UConn, right? So a lot of love right there given to the Big East so far. R.J. Felton, East Carolina, was another name right there. I don't know how much you've seen of him. But is, to me, ultimately interesting what they're doing. And I can tell you once again, without presumption whatsoever, but knowing, but also being told that it is most definitely the team concept that still continues down that path. Talon Peter is a guy from Liberty. And the first thing I think anybody said was, well, you know what? They picked a guy that ESPN didn't have any video on. He came off the bench at Liberty. Liberty had a fantastic season. He came off the bench. Now, he came off the bench because he didn't want to disrupt the team chemistry because I believe, and we're going to have I don't know if his head coach is going to come on today or not, but we're going to have his head coach on and kind of explain that situation, exactly what was going down there with it, because a lot of people certainly have asked. But Richie McKay was his head coach. Richie McKay was the head coach of another former Pacer, Danny Granger, back in his days at New Mexico. So we'll get Richie McKay on for a little bit more background. It's kind of the interesting dynamic there with Talon Peter, with Cam Jones, going that particular direction with guys that are more team-oriented with the team concept right there, and that is right now the overwhelming philosophy with the Pacers. And I don't know about you guys, but I absolutely love it. 100% love it. I'm not in on Monday. I'm going to set him up, James, Coach McKay, for Tuesday, if that's okay. And by then, I'm sure everybody will learn all you need to know. I don't know how much you paid attention to it. I just know that when they didn't have any video, and when you saw that he came off the bench, you probably wondered what? But it will make a lot more sense when it's explained. And, the roster also, you want to see what you can find right there. You want to see what you can unearth. Andrew Nemhart's little brother, Ryan Nemhart, was a guy that folks thought would end up here. He ends up in Dallas, I don't know, presumably maybe thinking that a situation is more intact there. I never really thought that he and Andrew were like players or that comparable in players, if that makes sense to you. But I will say this. I watched over and over again at Gonzaga, Andrew Nemhart, and absolutely loved him. And I kind of questioned more about his translation to the NBA than I did anybody, and he broke the mold on that. He has been well beyond, maybe not the Pacers' expectations, but I think a lot of expectations out there. Well beyond. I mean, I watched them in the championship game against Baylor, and there's Davion Mitchell up and down the floor, and Baylor at that rugged pace, and you just kind of wondered the translation at the next level, and it has been far beyond anybody's imagination how good that has been. And you're going to need every bit of that in a season without Tyrese Halliburton coming up here as well. So we'll go over a little bit of the draft. I know Tony East is going to join us. I'm sure he'll share a little bit of that information. I did have a proud moment last night. It was fantastic. And, I knew that there was a great deal of interest in OKC with their 1,000 selections they have over the next 5 years, including this past draft. But it was great to see, because I know how hard he works, and I'm incredibly proud of Brooks Barnhizer, knowing him since birth, and then watching him transform into a top-level player in high school at Lafayette Jeff, and then again at Northwestern, playing for his father, Mark, playing for Chris Collins in Evanston, and now making that translation to a two-way player situation in Oklahoma City. I could not have been more proud. That was a really proud moment last night to see Brooks get selected in round number 2. And he works as hard at it, and especially coming off of that injury. He played with injuries, bust his face, still plays. You can't take him out. And Oklahoma City has had a level of interest in him for a long time. And it was good to see that take place last night. We can discuss that if you like at 239-1070. The Fever are in a fever funk, and it's not good. It's not like the funk. You know what I mean? It's not like Earth, Wind, and Fire funk. No, this is like the bad funk. That's nice. Their fourth quarters here recently have been absolutely dreadful. There is, with or without Caitlin Clark here recently, there has been little inspiration regarding that group. And you get in those fourth quarter moments and you absolutely fade. But it's happened, I think, so far this season a couple of different times with Caitlin Clark, and then you saw it last night against one of the worst teams in the WNBA coming in here and then spreading out to the LA Sparks in the fourth quarter and getting that win. So it's Dallas coming on a back-to-back later on tonight. No Caitlin Clark this evening. You kind of wonder about the Commissioner's Cup. I believe that's on Tuesday in Minneapolis against the Minnesota Lynx. One of these situations, I don't know if I view it. You can look at it two different ways. We were allowed to wait, and it paid off this past season with the Pacers. This is something that I brought up just a little bit yesterday in our show at OPTs and Broad Ripple. But we waited for the Pacers, and that wait paid off. Our patience, it was rewarded. But this one, you've got discombobulation on, and just by virtue of a 1,000-year veteran that used to play for the coach that decides there's no spot, and then you have that soap opera going on until you can't trade, there's no value, and you just wave. There's been some drama both on and off the floor. So to me, there is a difference between this and then how we waited on the Pacers. I waited. Now, I kind of wanted it mid-December like everybody else, but we waited. And it paid off. This one, you kind of wonder where everything is, assuming there's still a lot of time to try to get things done, things that you want to get done. But it doesn't look good. The fourth quarters here recently have been dreadful. The one last night, I mean, really, the fourth quarter wasn't the only bad quarter. The rest of the game was pretty horrific as well. They were awful. It was awful. That was some awful basketball. It just was some awful basketball. I hope you were entertained inside the field house because it wasn't the basketball that was entertaining you. That certainly is problematic. All right, we can hit you up at 239-1070 on that. We can talk a little MLB if you want to do that. And we got a lot more for you as we make a transition next week. Can you believe we're already going into a July 4th holiday? It's coming up. Just seemed like yesterday. Hey, I can't wait for the 500 in the month of May. Let's go to the Coke Lodge. All right. And now we're getting set next week for the 4th of July. And then before you know it, it's going to be Colts camp, and it'll all start all over again. So we got time to really get the lay of the land with you sports-wise if you want. That's why one of our favorite guests on this show, Lance Mallister of the Reds Radio Network and 700 WLW in Cincinnati, is going to join us at the bottom of the hour. Now, we'll get the latest on Hendrickson, too, over in Cincinnati. Speaking of soap operas, there's a soap opera right there. Now, we'll talk to Lance, but a lot of things coming up at the bottom of the hour. Tony East, as I mentioned, coming up in the 4 o'clock hour. Tony is going to join us, so we'll get his thoughts on the 2 selections last night. Talon Peter, the 54th overall in round number 2, and then prior to that, Cam Jones out of Marquette were the 2 Pacer selections last night. Tony East is all about that coming up at 4:30. And today marks the triumphant return of our good friend, and I cannot wait, Pat Sullivan of Sullivan Hardware and Garden. Hashtag AskPat. If you're thinking about going to a garden party, this is it. If you are a lover of coleslaw, this is it. I hate coleslaw, but nobody celebrates the side dish of coleslaw more than a good friend, Pat Sullivan of Sullivan Hardware and Garden. Yeah, I mean, smoked meats, meat thermometers, snuffing out moles, getting rid of crabgrass or weeds. You know, all that stuff, all that outdoor stuff. And normally we're already a month deep into our Friday hashtag AskPats, but because of the Pacer run, we have been delayed. Hashtag AskPat is officially back. And I'm assuming we have some. Has he sent a picture yet of what we're giving away? Is it pretty solid? Is it meat rubs? I need a really good meat rub.
It
like
is.
We all do.
Do you want me to just go ahead and tell you what it is?
Why don't you go ahead and tell me what it is?
It is a couple of Yeti cups, or Yeti tumblers, I should say.
Oh, man. Free Yeti.
Looks pretty good.
There's a Friday arousal on this show with free Yeti. That's better than a meat rub. So 2 Yeti cups. I'll fire that off with hashtag AskPat. You can send your questions to us. And James, you can butter James up. James did a hell of a job yesterday when we lost power twice. It was so hot that the power grid was overwhelmed. We were coming to you so loud and so clear from Broad Ripple at OPTs. The power grid was overwhelmed, and we went off a couple of times. And if you know me, you know how much I love local radio, and I want local radio to live forever. And even though I may live forever, and I plan on it right now, or at the very least, when I die, I'm going to come back and still have a radio show and haunt everybody that hates my guts and doing it. But I do know at some point others are going to have to take over, and I love it when dudes, like, I'll give you a great example, Joey and Eddie for the past 2 days, and Eddie and Mark yesterday, and James yesterday. I love to see when our folks around here step up, when Kylan steps up, when Nathaniel steps up. That's what it's all about. You know, a lot of people suggest, well, you know, are you not worried? No, I want the growth of what we do here. Not worried about it. That's what I'm worried about, is people going, yeah, you know what, I don't want to blank with this anymore. I don't want to do it. And then it disappears. I don't want this to disappear like the 1990s Snackwells. I want this to last forever. Like Nutter Butters. Seriously. Forever. James did a great job yesterday when Brent and I disappeared. How many people said, did JMV get drunk and unplug something? Because that was not true.
I didn't see any comments like that.
Not
but
get drunk and unplug something.
I did briefly wonder if someone had tripped over something, because I think we have had someone just unplug the entire rig at a remote
We have
before.
had somebody unplug something before.
Yep.
Yeah, it's kind of like you've seen Christmas Vacation when Beverly D'Angelo walks out and like turns off the garage light, or turns it on first, and then all the lights come on, and then turns it off, and they go, yeah. Somebody did that once. But I did not trip over the plug myself. Well done. But great job out of James. I thought Joey and Eddie did a fantastic job in the 3 hours prior to. And then back to yesterday. I know Mark did the morning show this morning with James Boyd. I love it when our folks step up, and Nathaniel and Kylan do a great job around here. I don't know if you guys are privy to this because everybody obviously listens to the JMV Takeover. But Bob has an incredible show, Bob Lovell, Friday and Saturday nights, Indiana Sports Talk, and he goes on vacation hiatus right before the 500. And then somebody always is doing that as a really good proving ground for our friends around here. I love to see those that don't do it. And that's kind of how I evolved to be this awful. But this is how I evolved because it was, you learned from Mark. I learned from the all-time best. And, when Mark wasn't there, then you got to step up, or something were to happen, you had to step up, and, you had to do it to a level in which you got the Mark Patrick approval. And let me tell you about how difficult that is. So I love it when dudes step up. That's well done, James, yesterday, and everybody else around the station, especially during vacation time, which drops in here. Talon Peter of Liberty, his head coach, and I are going back and forth right now. We're trying to figure out a time for Richie McKay of Liberty. And again, that connection was earlier, as I mentioned, the former coach of Danny Granger. There's been a long time connection with the Pacers. And we'll tell you the story. Also, Tennessee Tech to a D2 at Arkansas to Liberty. Liberty makes the transition from the A-Sun to Conference USA. High scoring, up and down the floor team. Did you notice that Liberty, did anybody watch Liberty this past year? They do play with a great deal of what? Anyone? Pace. Cam Jones, coached by, one of the more embraced and knowledgeable coaches in college basketball, Shaka Smart. And again, it's the team orientation that the Pacers are after right now. And that's another reason why I mentioned I love it, because now the older generation like me and even beyond me, you embrace it like you never have. Like, I've always loved it. I just love basketball. I've always loved it. But now those that always thought, well, it's college and high school and that's team, this Pacer team is more team than what you see collegiately and in high school now. I mean, hell, that's more isolation stuff. So you're winning over an older generation that maybe you don't necessarily feel the need to have, but it's good to have everybody. Pacers are doing this with this concept. And as I've mentioned prior, I think more will be on board with this around the NBA. All right, and free agency is going to fire up. We will follow the stories. I saw a Windhorst story regarding Miles Turner. Windhorst basically said what I've said the entirety of the time. The plan has been the plan, and that's going to continue to be the plan. The one thing I don't think we know is whether or not there was any monetary evaluation after the suffering that took place offensively in the NBA Finals. But the plan is to maintain. The plan for this Pacer team is to be who you are, what you become, even without Tyrese Halliburton. All right, quick break. We'll come back. 239-1070 is that number. We have Adam Sandler tickets we shall give away a little bit later on today. Gamebridge Fieldhouse, that's coming up in October. Should be a great show. Adam Sandler tickets. Are we also giving away Seinfeld? That was last week, Seinfeld tickets, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was last
week.
week.
Have we gone back-to-back weeks with Seinfeld and Sandler here?
Pretty good shows.
We're big news. We're a big damn deal right here. I felt bad. Who was the guy that called in and thought that they should trade Miles and draft Hunter Dickinson? When was that? And the guy was completely sober and not on drugs.
That was a while ago. That was before the Gemini suggestion the other day, I think.
I think it goes back to the start of the postseason.
I think so, yeah. It was a while ago.
Well, Hunter Dickinson has signed a two-way NBA deal as a 39-year-old 7-foot center with the New Orleans Pelicans. He will have made monumentally more money collegiately than he's going to sniff, right? Professionally. How many guys are going to be like that? How many will make all that money collegiately? And, I mean, hell, some of them won't even play professionally. So, for my old friend that called in and wanted 33 out and Hunter Dickinson in, too bad, so sad. Talon Peter, Cam Jones, that's Lance McAllister, friend of the show, 700 WLW. Things going on in the Queen City and a lot more from the Carmel High School graduate and from Butler as well. Lance McAllister, bottom of the hour. Hashtag Ask Pat. Free Yeti coming up at the 4 o'clock hour. Tony East as well. Do not go anywhere. The stream, the app, it's HD Radio, AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live. Do not go on vacation this summer without becoming a AAA member. Don't do it. Got to have somebody to have your back. AAA will. Also, you're going to get great deals at Ruoff. Great deals because it fires up this weekend, too. Symphony on the Prairie. Great deals at Victory Field with the Indians. Become a AAA member. Do that right now. AAA.com. 93.5, 107.5, The Fan.
Is this or is this not the XFL? Yes, it is. 2, do I or do I not currently have a pulse? Yes, I do. Let's play football.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Tony East trying to work out Richie McKay, the Liberty head coach here. Probably when I double back, I'm going to be off on Monday. Yeah, 80s weekend with me on the JMV Takeover with Billy Ocean tomorrow night. 6 until midnight, JMV Takeover, B105.7. Coast to coast we go with you, powered by Big Red Liquors. JMV Takeover. All requests Saturday night, 6 until midnight tomorrow night. I mentioned Tony East. Hashtag Ask Pat, Pat Sullivan. That is free Yeti. Pat Sullivan knows what he's doing, from Sullivan Hardware and Garden to the question that you ask on X and send to me at JMV 1070. If we pick you, you get free Yeti. This is not a meat rub or a meat thermometer. This is free Yeti. He knows what he's doing. Pat joins us in the 4 o'clock hour right here in studio, but on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. He is a longtime, incredible voice in the Queen City, Cincinnati Reds and Bengals and all that is in between. Jungle Gyms, Skyline Chili, Gold Star Conversations, Kings Island, The Beast, and more. It is Lance McAllister. Hello, Lance. How are you?
JMV, I am well. It's been too long. Excited to talk.
Last time I went to Kings Island was 1992. Can you tell me who I saw at a Reds game that weekend in 92 play left field?
1992.
He was a jack of all trades. He was a jack of all trades. He was a Swiss Army knife. He was a smaller version of Jose Oquendo.
That would have been Bip Roberts.
My man. And you know why I told you that is because he was traded from what team?
The Padres.
Yes, see? Look at the connection.
Yes,
Look at the relatable.
yeah.
Can you tell you and I have done this for a long time with that?
You know, every time we talk and I get done talking, I have the same thought. I said, we should do shows together.
Yes, we should. Why don't we?
You know, when we pass on, we should do our own show in heaven where there will be no rules.
Here's the other irony, too. I just told everybody that while I may die, I'm still going to have a radio show after I die because I'm going to come back and haunt everybody with a radio show.
Oh, beautiful.
Oh,
beautiful.
man. So Padres start a series with the Reds coming up later on tonight. So 42-39, and the way the Reds have played so far this year, disappointing were you thought or what?
Yeah, they're about in that probably sweet spot of where you kind of thought if they'd been healthier, I think there would have been an expectation for more. There's kind of been the feeling out process of Tito with this team and his personnel, and they've certainly improved in some aspects. Defensively, they're better than a year ago. They still make some mistakes on the base paths, but I mean, they've just been so hit like so many teams by injuries. It's just really kept them. I always say there's like a magnet, and when they get, 3 to 4 games above 500, the baseball gods kind of pull them back towards the middle or slightly below, and they're right around slightly under, slightly over 500, and it's why I've maintained they need more help. They need, not only do they need to get healthy, they need to make trades at the deadline, and I'll be convinced when I see it.
So, is there any thought that is a tactic that they will utilize there?
I hope so. It hasn't really been their MO the last couple of years. Now, you could argue at times they weren't exactly positioned to do it or it was worth doing it. I think it's worth doing it this year because, and not strictly because of the fans' impatience, but I always say like the Bengals operate in the Joe Burrow window, this team's operating in the Ellie window. And as much as I shake my head at the people who say, well, he's auditioning for the Dodgers and the Yankees, and I say, even if Ellie wants to leave, he can't leave until after 2029. There are 714 more regular season games that Ellie can play in before he even reaches free agency. So I don't look at it from that standpoint, but I do from the standpoint of you have to take advantage of opportunities, and maybe they don't catch the Cubs, but I think they're a viable player for the wild card. In fact, they're facing a team this weekend that's 2.5 games ahead of them.
So Lance McAllister on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Who's been most disappointing to you on this roster?
It's been Matt McClain. I mean, you can make the argument to a large extent this team will go as he goes. And now I know you said, well, what about LA and what about Hunter Green? What about others? Matt McClain is somebody they were really counting on, and yet he had missed a year, all of last season. He'd missed the final 2 months of the previous season coming back from injuries. And it just hasn't happened yet. He hit a 10-game hitting streak 2 weeks ago where it really looked like, okay, now he's here. And now he's been 0 for 14 since. So there's kind of been starts and stops. But he's just so athletic. He's a good defender. And at the top of the order when he's on, he makes a major difference. It just hasn't all been there right now.
Lance, give me reasons why Reds fans should be confident, and then I'll have your counterpoint to that next. But real reasons why Reds fans should be confident as to where they are right now and how they may end up.
I think the biggest reason is the pitching. The starting pitching gives them a chance night in and night out. And now with the infusion of Chase Burns into all this, even more so, it'll be interesting to see how they handle him from here out. But Hunter Green is going to throw a bullpen next week in Boston, so he's getting closer. But, I mean, Andrew Abbott has been an ace for this staff.
Yeah.
Nick Lodolo's been good, not great. I still think he can be better. Brady Singer's been reliable. And there aren't a lot of teams that can roll out guys who give you a chance more often than not. It's just the offense has been so dang frustrating against left-handers this year. It just kills me. Against left-handers, they're hitting .217 this year. Only the Rockies and Pirates are worse. I mean, from series to series, if a team has somebody who can walk, talk, chew gum, and throw left-handed, they are running them out to the mound to face the Reds. Teams are even going with left-handed openers just to get a crack at the Reds right off the bat because they know they can neutralize this offense.
Lance McAllister is with us. Is Andrew Abbott purposely look like Jerry Royce or what? I mean, does he remind you of Jerry Royce?
He does. He looks like Jerry Royce. He pitches like Tom Browning.
Yeah, he
Lefty,
does. Yes.
fast pace.
Yeah.
I mean, he gets it and he throws it and he's crafty and he's smart and he's not, he averages, his fastball averages 92.9. In a day and age where guys are throwing 102.9, he's getting guys out at 93 miles an hour on his fastball because he's just mastered the craftiness of adding and subtracting one pitch to the next and working. There's a little Maddox to him as well as a left-handed version. It's just really fun to watch.
All right, so Chase Burns, what did you think in his debut the other night? Did you like it?
I did. All things considered, Great American Ballpark, a hitter's park against the Yankees, strikes out the first 5, 6 of the first 7. Second time around, the Yankees got a little bit more aggressive. They were aggressive early in the count, hit some balls hard, but I think it's good that he can kind of catalog that stuff and learn from it. I'm not saying he's going to be a Cy Young the rest of the year. He's got some stuff he's going to have to learn and adjust to, but he's really smart and he's really calm. And I'll tell you the biggest thing I took away, he cruised to the first 3. In the 4th, Ben Rice obliterated a ball 427 feet. And in that ballpark, that can scare pitchers. And they think, man, I better be careful. And instead of backing off and getting less aggressive, you could almost see him say, all right, you got me there. Here comes more of my best. Show me what you got. And for a 22-year-old, I think it showed a lot of balls, and I loved it.
So tell me why Reds fans, on the other hand, may not be too enthusiastic about the remainder of the season.
They've just been so sporadic offensively. I'm just not convinced. They've played 81 games. 19 of them, they've scored 1 run or no runs, which is just hard to fathom. But it's been so and what is mind-boggling, you look, and their average runs per game looks pretty good on paper. And then you think, well, wait a minute, I've watched them with my own eyes. I saw them score 24 against the Orioles in one game. Then I saw them get shut out in 3 straight games, which seems impossible. And that's just the hit-and-miss nature of this team. It's just a very inconsistent offense.
Is there a latest on Trey Hendrickson and that soap opera?
Nothing since the National Report a week or so ago. They had resumed talks. I'm of the belief something will get done eventually. I think both sides need each other, but I want the Bengals to have to cave on this. I firmly believe they cannot win the Super Bowl without him. The Bengals are used to always getting their way. I hope Trey sticks to his guns and says, I'm underpaid. You made a verbal commitment to me. If I played well last year, you would honor that. He led the league in sacks. I want him to get a lot more money from them. And I don't want them to fold their arms and say, we'll play this season without you. I don't think you can roll those dice when you're back to, as I said, working in the Joe Burrow window. I hope this organization doesn't, by spite. And the word, the line that's been thrown around a lot here, and even the rookie Shamar Stewart said it, this organization gets too caught up in winning negotiations more than winning football games. I want the Bengals to have to pay in this case.
Does the court of public opinion over there agree with you regarding this situation?
That's a great question, because I don't know that it's split, but there's a lot of people who side with the Bengals, to my surprise, because they think Trey should simply honor the contract, that he's got one more year left on the deal. And I can understand that, but I also understand how the market has changed with a lot of players, and I understand his value to this football team. And, again, I want him to put the screws to the organization.
It's Lance Mallister of 700 WLW talking Reds and Bengals and so on and so forth. So please tell me, as a former resident and a high school grad of Carmel, that you also got caught up in the euphoria of the Pacers playoff and finals run.
Oh, man, are you kidding me? It was unbelievable. I had Chris Denari on my show talking about the series. And it was so just gutting to watch Tyrese go down and see the look on his face. And that was just such a fun team that I'm not telling you anything you don't know. They shared it so well. They scored it so well, and just a fantastic run. And to see it end that way, it was heartbreaking. But, man, and I'll tell you what, quick note, and I'm no Cam Jones expert. I'm not going to try to come off as one. But having watched what he did against Xavier in the Big East tournament and beating them, he had 28 points, 5 assists, 5 threes, 2 rebounds, and a steal. That kid is crafty. He can pass it. He can finish. He can get his own shot. I think his turnovers was like 200 assists to 63 turnovers. I love that pick for the Pacers.
Team orientation is what they were looking for, and that's what you just described. Now I want you to do Talon Peter as well from Liberty. You got the lowdown on him?
I have very low. I will defer to you and your guest next week.
I'm going to get his head coach on to learn. You know, you kind of know, I had a lot of Pacer fans go, well, they don't even have any highlights loaded up for him right here when they drafted him. So, yeah.
You know, I will say this quick Pacer draft story. I vividly remember in 1983, I'm rolling around Market Square Arena as a teenager, and I am so hoping they tanked that year and were bad to get then Ralph Sampson as the number 1 pick. Yeah. They wound up taking Steve Stepanovich. They got the 2nd pick, took Steve Stepanovich. Sampson went 1. But I will never forget rolling around, getting Chet Kopic's autograph. He was wearing a full-length fur coat in Market Square Arena, and rooting for the Pacers to lose because I wanted them to get Ralph Sampson in that draft.
The Chet Kopic fur coat story, that makes it right there.
He was
nice.
Beautiful. How we doing, everybody? Your dollar, your dime, your dance floor.
That is so good. Lance Mallister, how about you and I do a show together, and we'll do a live show from either Kings Island or Jungle Gyms. Can you get that done?
Oh, my God. How much fun would that be?
Can you imagine a live show at Jungle Gyms with us? Or we'll do it right next to the Beast over there in Kings Island.
Here's what we do. We eat a food and drink a beer from a different country every segment of the show.
Yes. And that'd be like Tuesday for me. Yeah. No, seriously. Put the wheels in motion over there, and I'm on the way. You let me know.
Beautiful.
All right. Well, it's great to check in with you. We shall do it again over the course of the summer, Lance. Thank you very much.
Can't wait. You're the man. Have a great weekend.
It's Lance Mallister, 700 WLW in Cincinnati. That is a friend of the show. Would you guys attend a live show with Lance and I at Jungle Gyms in Cincinnati? I believe they have 2 locations in Cincinnati. You ever just go to Jungle Gym? Does anybody not know what I'm talking about here? James, Jungle Gyms?
I've been to Jungle Gyms.
It has absolutely everything, right?
Yeah, it's great.
It is the only place, because I went through a bit of a phase back in the early spring, a Labatt's Blue Light phase. The only place around where I've seen Labatt's Blue Light in bottle, but they also had Labatt's Blue non-alcoholic, which is crazy. That's nowhere except there.
I do have to say my favorite part of Jungle Gyms is the walk-up bar that you can just go up to, get yourself a alcoholic smoothie or whatever you want to call it, icy. You should always be able to drink while grocery shopping, no matter what store you're in, as far as I'm concerned.
I'm telling you, we have got to do a show with Lance and I live from Jungle Gyms in Cincinnati. Would you guys all make the trek over there? Could we get you guys to go and join us? That'd be great. I love Lance. Quick break, we'll come back. I love Pat Sullivan. Hashtag Ask Pat. Get those questions going because free Yeti on the inbound. You guys ready for some free Yeti? Hashtag Ask Pat the questions at me on X. And somebody will win some free Yeti with the debut of hashtag Ask Pat coming up here in the 4 o'clock hour. Tony East at 4:30. You and I in the 5 o'clock hour. Sandler tickets to give away in the Harrah's Hoosier Park race of the day, where you also sign up. Get your horse, and 50-50 in betting and dining may await you from Harrah's Hoosier Park Racing and Casino in Anderson. At JMV 1070, get your horse now. The Harrah's Hoosier Park race of the day in the 5 o'clock hour. It is all a part of a Getaway Friday edition here on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Jason says, I love Jungle Jim's, best place ever. What's the location, though? Northwest or southeast? I'm assuming southeast. That's closer to us, right? No, it's not. Northwest is closer to us. I don't know, Jason. One of the two right there, but I think we would have a blast. PJ says, Labatt's Blue. Is it Labatt or Labatt's? Do I say that like Kroger and Kroger's and Tiger Wood and Tiger Woods? Labatt Blue 100, top-notch choice. Yeah, I went through a little Labatt Blue phase. I'm still pretty heavy on the Mick Ultra right now. Anything that is 90 cal beer. Here's another great 90 cal beer, James. Modelo Oro. 90 cal beer. That is a bottle of beer, Modelo Oro, that you will drink in literally 2 drinks. You'll drink the entire bottle in 2 drinks. Thank you to Lance Mallister from Cincinnati for being on the show a little bit earlier. Thank you, Skivvy. Skivvies wants us to play Michael McDonald's Sweet Freedom, re-entry today in honor of the release on this date in 1986. That would be Running Scared. Gregory Hines and Billy Crystal. Jimmy Smits played the bad guy in that film back in the day as well. So, yeah, a lot of 80s. Sweet Freedom would sound good right there. We'll be watching the skies as well. A little stormy behavior probably happening later on today. I love this. I just got a tweet on WYXB, B105.7, James. It says, listen to JMV Takeover for your chance to win a pair of tickets to see Sandler. I've got Sandler tickets tomorrow night for you guys, too. How are you guys not incredible? Even if you don't like my opinion of 33 and Miles, how are you not in love with me by now? You know, all these opportunities. Yes. How are they not, James? How sometimes can you absolutely stand yourself to send me things like you send me? I talked to somebody earlier today, and they go, hey, you know, why do you respond to some of that? And I said, well, because I'm sitting there. Sometimes if I don't see it, then I just miss it. But if I'm sitting there and I feel compelled, I have a response. You're one of those out there that feels I should not respond to it.
We're talking with the people on X.
When I call people jackasses and stuff all the time, yeah.
It might be better for your blood pressure if you just don't respond to it.
Oh, I've got a blood pressure machine at home. I'm normal.
Oh, really?
Oh, I'm incredibly normal. Pat Sullivan knows me as hugely normal. Yep, Mr. Normal. Pat's in studio. You guys got some questions? Hashtag Ask Pat. 239-1070. I think that's a hell of an idea right there. Hashtag Ask Pat. Pat is savvy. Pat has brought in free Yeti to the question that we select. Free Yeti on tap. Courtesy of Sullivan Hardware and Garden and Pat Sullivan. He's on the inbound. That's next. Hashtag Ask Pat. Your questions and more coming up. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
Diablo sandwich, a Dr. Pepper. Make it fast. I'm in a damn hurry.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Oh, Sweet Freedom. This is right at the very end of the yacht rock era. Michael McDonald from the film Running Scared in 1986. It's B105.7. I hit the post there, too.
Nice.
You know how proud Mark Patrick would be every time I hit the post, Pat? Mark Patrick is that's where Nicaragua, remember the character Nicaragua came? That's the world's most cliche DJ.
Yep.
Was Nicaragua. Pat Sullivan's in studio, Sullivan Hardware and Garden. Hashtag
Who was the helicopter traffic?
TC, yes.
Very good.
Very good stuff. Hey, by the way, Cam Jones and Talon Peter, the two selections from round 2 by the Pacers yesterday. Tony East, full detail is coming up in less than 30 minutes, so if you're interested, then you got to check that out. No Caitlin Clark later on tonight in Dallas as the Fever try to bounce back from what was just a horrific form of basketball last night at Cambridge Field. Lord have mercy, is bad. And a loss to the previously 4-win L.A. Sparks. Pat, it was some bad basketball being played. Bad.
I was watching them play. Was it Las Vegas? Did they play?
Yes.
Somewhere out west.
Yeah, like last week.
I watched the first half of it. Started at 10 o'clock. I thought it was pretty good of me to stay up for a half.
How are we doing, Pat Sullivan?
I'm doing
Hardware and Garden.
I'm doing very well. Thank you. Got through the busy spring, and now, today I was ordering fresh-cut Christmas trees.
You were not.
Yes, I am.
Does this normally happen at the end of June right here? You're right on target?
They want that order by June 30th.
Man. I mentioned this. Normally, we're like a month late because of the Pacers here. Normally, we get started a month earlier than we have.
Right, which was
probably
awesome.
Even more than that because we probably would start in late April, early May, wouldn't we not? So probably a month and a half, to be honest.
So you know what? I hope it happens next year again.
It was fun as hell.
That was so fun.
I love how you come out of the gate with a free Yeti, though. That's
and the Yeti,
savvy.
did you notice the colors? We sold a lot of that. That is a...
is that kind of like Pacer yellow right there? Yeah.
It is Pacer yellow.
Gold, I should say.
And gold, and it's just a... Yeti comes out with kind of seasonal colors.
Yeah.
And they rolled that baby out, and we ordered like 300 of those cups of that size. Did a little engraving on it. You have to really skirt the licensing problem.
I'm sure you do.
Yeah,
I skirt things all the time.
But you
as
can,
well. Yeah.
Like we had a Halliburton with the choke sign.
Yeah,
we figured that can't really be licensed, can it? Right?
I don't think the choke is licensed.
We just did a caricature, so so that sold very well.
That's outstanding right there.
Yeah.
That's good. People will love it. Now, that's not, the choke thing's not on these, is it?
No. It can be.
It can be?
Yeah. We also have...
What if you were to put the choke? Can you put the choke thing on it for people?
Absolutely.
Well, I think that's a hell of a plan right there.
Unless someone is from the Pacers is listening and
they probably are. They probably won't like it.
No, you know what?
That's okay because that wouldn't be the first time.
Did you see all the pop-ups of they're selling shirts and stuff on
everywhere?
Dude.
Yes.
IMPD.
That guy's still up at Michigan Road in 72nd
71st and Keystone. Yeah. IMPD rolled in, snatched everything up, and shut them down.
Did they really?
Yeah.
I always find those as the most interesting of the T-shirts that are created.
Yes.
Or the bootleg ones.
Yes.
I bought one, and I don't know whatever happened to it. And I went to Game 1 in 1990, the Reds and the Pirates in the NLCS at then Riverfront Stadium. And there was a fantastic bootleg T-shirt that I bought back then that had the entire red. That was when the caricature phase was going on, where you kind of had a cartoon-looking portrait in detail with the caricature. I can't say that word very well because I'm from Greene County.
Caricature.
But, it was kind of a play off of that, and I bought it. I don't know what happened to it, but it was one of fantastic bootlegs. Love a good bootleg.
Yeah, you know what?
Not as good as the Oakleys or the Jokeleys. Those are the best bootlegs. Yeah. The Jokeleys.
The Jokeleys.
Yeah.
So what we did is we just we spelled Pacers with 2 C's.
Couple S's on the end, something like that. So, yeah. So, what's major this summer, I guess, so far? We've only been a week deep here.
Yeah, man, I'll tell you what, though, the heat is what really has everybody down a little bit. And
I love it.
I know. You know what? I got to tell you, as a retailer, I wasn't exactly proud of myself last week. We had this hotter than hell sale.
Oh, that's like in the honor of Kiss. Hotter than hell.
Hotter than hell. And what we did was when the temperature got to 80 degrees, you got this much off your plants.
Right.
And then when it got to 85 to 90, 93. And so then when I followed this big garden center in Virginia Beach, and they put out a big statement that they were closing at 3:00 on Saturday to protect the health of their customers. And here on my side, I'm encouraging them to come out for a discount.
Come on out. It's 95. Yeah. Come out here and get your discount.
That's right, a discount, right. And you know what? The rules are the rules. If you pass out before you get to the cash register, it's no deal.
Yeah, no deal at all.
That's right. So.
I love. See, I live for the summer and these hot temps.
Dude, that's a little too hot. You have to admit.
I love pop-up storms. Now, granted, I'm not out in it.
Yeah.
However, before anybody says, hey, you're soft, you're not in it, I have been in it a lot of my life before. I've worked in tire shops. I've worked in fields, so I don't want to hear it. I just work past it now.
Yeah, the 80s is one thing. This 90s thing it's not good.
Like 95 stuff out there right now.
Yeah.
How about some of these pools? Not having to use your heater at all?
Yeah, but you know what? Now the problem is that some of the pools get too hot. Like our pool at our place was a typical, and it's not doesn't have the deep end, so it's just about 5 foot.
Is it 88 degrees right now?
98.
It was 98.
Yeah, because we have a cover on it to keep the kids from falling in, and so if you open it at night and kind of run the jets, so we got it down to 6 degrees overnight, but it's like it is
98's like a really
that's a hot tub.
Yeah, that is a hot tub bed. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
You guys don't sell hot tubs, do you? Why don't you?
No.
I think that's next. You got everything else. Why not hot tubs?
Yeah.
And then you can come service mine.
We have the big Grill Palace. Maybe we put a couple in the Grill Palace. We have that under construction in our Keystone store.
Why don't you do that?
The Grill Palace.
So what entails the Grill Palace?
Well, it's a palace for grills. So
our guy Scion got some product inside the Grill Palace?
He's jockeying for the best spot.
I love me some Scion, man.
So it's going to have a little, place where we can do a little demoing inside and stuff.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, they just turned on the air conditioning yesterday, and the workmen that are finishing up, very happy.
What's the highest selling grill that you have working right? What's the most popular grill in the market right now?
For us, it's probably the large Big Green Egg.
Yeah. Still?
Yeah.
I mean, that's been kind of the way that it is. Well, and you've had all these other grills that have come at it, but it seems like that it always seemingly moves on.
And the egg is just this. I mean, it just there's not a lot of there's no parts to it, right? It's like it's kind of I don't want to say it's simple.
Ceramic charcoal grill,
right? And it lasts a long, long time. Now the dumb thing that Big Green Egg did is they did a lifetime warranty.
They do, don't they?
That's so dumb. I mean, wouldn't 15 years satisfy you, John?
So your grill can fall apart 15 years later, and they replace it.
I got this one in '74, and I got a crack here. So
crack in the ceramic dome. I need another one.
Yeah, but we do well with that. We do well with Traeger. At our place, Weber's on the way out because they kicked us out. So
kicked you out of what?
Weber kind of got in bed with Ace Hardware. And so they no longer because we're not an Ace, we're doing Best True Value. So they gave us the boot.
Really?
Yep.
That's not good business.
No, not good business.
Yeah. So no more Weber.
No. So we have a great line called Napoleon that we do business with anyways, and it's made here in the United States. I mean Canada. Has that gone through yet?
That's kind of That's north.
Is that through yet?
Northern U.S.
Yeah. So, but no, we were disappointed. We've been a Weber dealer since the 80s. So
when did this happen?
About 3-4 weeks ago.
Son of a
gun,
if we want
to,
can we reach out to the Weber people and say that they're making a tremendous mistake and not being with you guys right now?
I don't know, but if we want to continue to carry Weber, we have to buy it from Ace. So you have to buy it. You have to.
So you got to go to somebody else's store and buy it.
You have to go to your competitor and buy it.
Weird.
It is weird.
I don't know if I like that or not.
Nah. So we're going.
That'd be like me doing my JMV takeover over at JJK or something.
Yeah.
Which, by God, they need it, but I'm not going to do it. They sure as hell need it. On a Saturday night, especially. No, that's interesting, though. Where's the Traeger as far as grills are concerned right now?
Traeger is awesome. Yeah. We've got some great new models out. They get better and better all the time. They get a little more temperature, so you can do a little more grilling instead of, that was always the thing. People go, well, I really want to be able to sear a steak. Well, now their newer models really get up there.
So we've gone through the whole grill phase, the smoking meat phase, the outdoor pizza oven phase. What's the is there another phase on the inbound here?
No, but the two hot things still are the flat tops and the
griddles.
The pizza grill.
The griddles are still that popular, huh?
Yeah.
Do you guys carry the?
Right now we still have some of the Weber ones left. We'll have Napoleon ones of those.
So put those at half price, and I'll go buy one.
Okay.
Will you half price the Weber since they're screwing you over?
No. We'll just we'll probably send some of it to the warehouse sale.
Oh yeah, price the Webers. Here I come for the griddle.
I've never been screwed over like this. We do.
I know you feel. You've never really mentioned anything like that until now. No. So this is like have a profound effect on you.
Yeah, we did $500,000 in Weber grills.
And they're just screwing you over like crazy.
Yeah, but I'm kind of a jerk too. Who they're really screwing over is small hardware stores. You have a hardware store in your town where you grew up?
Yeah. I'm mad. I got mad at them, though.
Okay,
remember?
Fine. Well, just pretend you liked them.
I got mad at them because they screwed something up.
Just pretend. Yeah. So it's all these little stores that aren't going to be able to buy. I want them to
persevere, though. Don't get me wrong. I still want that option, yes.
So what I'm saying is I'm standing up for the little guy here, right? Because I'm going to be fine. But there's a lot of little stores that Weber is screwing over.
We can't have that.
No, we can't.
Hey, we stand up for those.
That's right.
That's what we do. So it's like we're kind of like radio is like that. We stand up.
Stand up for the little guy.
All right, hashtag Ask Pat with the questions. Are these questions for Pat at 239-1070, James as well, that we have loaded up, or are they just questions in general? Do we know?
On the phone line?
Yeah.
They're just questions in general.
Okay, well, if anybody wants to call in, hashtag Ask Pat at 239-1070. You have a question you want to get on the air for Pat, you can also work it that way as well. Meantime, we do have questions in for the debut of hashtag Ask Pat. And SPT, he's one of the Smiley Bros. Sean Patrick Turley says, what is an easy way to maintain a colorful shrub to plant in a front yard? Or what shrub is easy to maintain?
Okay, so
that's colorful for your front yard.
All right, so I would say that number one, the easy one is hydrangea paniculata.
That sounds like a big word.
Yes, because there's hydrangeas is a big field. The ones that are pink and blue, they can be problematic. The paniculatas, which are the white ones, and then they go to a nice pink, those are the ones you want.
Problematic.
Because they are carefree. Paniculatas.
Really? They're just are they loners?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that it's a paniculata. You might go out in the morning and find a beer can by the bush.
Paniculata.
Paniculata or panicle.
Where's this name?
It's just what it is, John.
Okay.
You could say panicle. That's another. Panicle.
Okay, that's how it's spelled.
Yeah.
SPT, the paniculata.
Paniculata.
SPT is what we're looking for.
But if you don't have the skill set, stay away from the macrophyllus.
Why is that?
Because they're a pain. They got to be in the right spot.
You got to water them all the time?
They don't like sun. They don't like shade. They like it right in between. Like morning sun until about 1 or 2 o'clock.
Okay.
That's it.
I got to have those that are able to survive when I forget to water them. Forever.
You want paniculata.
Paniculata is what you say. Kevin has this at hashtag Ask Pat. If you don't have a specific tree in stock, can you place a special order, and how long does it take on average?
Well,
Pat?
it depends on whether it's already dug. So if they've got it in one of the yards, we can usually get it within about a week to 10 days.
Cool.
If it needs to be dug and it's part of the fall thing, it'll be in September, like mid-September, is when we get a big shipment of trees in.
Kevin, there you go. Gritty writes this. My tomato plants are growing like crazy.
Great.
Do what? James?
Well, we've actually got Gritty on the line right
Gritty's
now.
on here? Okay, I'm going to let Gritty ask this personally. Gritty is at 239-1070. Hi, Grit.
Hello, how are you today?
What you doing, lady?
I'm working, but I have a garden question.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
My tomato plants are really leafing and growing out, but like the leaves are real close to the ground. And I had read somewhere that you're supposed to maybe trim the lower branches to help the fruit produce. Is that correct?
Is the tomato vine, is it setting fruit or just growing?
It's just growing.
All right, so you're not seeing any fruit yet.
I'm seeing sun fruit on the plant, but not on the lower level.
Okay.
Not where all the
So you can certainly trim off because it's not going to make any difference. But I would caution you from over fertilizing the plant until it starts setting fruit, because plants, that is a vine, so they go vegetative, and you could get all tomato vine and no tomato fruit.
Okay. Yeah,
Okay.
I'll have some fruit on there.
Okay.
I just want
Yep.
to make sure I get the maximum amount I can.
Oh, sure. Absolutely. That'll cost you one tomato.
Gritty, I think everything grows better in Vanderburgh County, Grit. You know that, don't you?
Yes, it does.
That's fertile soil. You do live in Vanderburgh County, though, right? Not Warwick? Or not Spencer?
Yes, I live in
Vanderburgh. All right. Yeah, it's fertile. That's fertile ground down there in southwestern Indiana. It is.
Yeah,
Grit,
you got to be careful.
Grit, I've got to have a JMV takeover call tomorrow night. I have missed you.
I will do that.
All right. Awesome. Have a great weekend, Gritty.
You too.
Hashtag Ask Pat. Questions from Gritty and Jason is up next at 239-1070. Line 3, Jason James. Hello, Jason. Welcome to the show with Pat Sullivan.
Hey, thanks. Yeah, I've got a great yard out back, and I've got a 9-month-old puppy that's killing the lawn.
Uh-oh.
One pee at a time.
Right.
So
I
any
used to
advice?
do that. I used to do that all the time.
Yeah,
but
you did.
Yeah, you know what? I've stopped peeing outside as much. I don't do that as much.
I
as I used to.
remember when you claimed, I believe it was you that claimed that your urine was as good of repellent as coyote urine was.
Yeah, what was like? I used to
You just spray it.
I pee on anthills.
Yeah.
And kill the ants. So okay, go ahead and explain. Jason's got a question.
So the pH of the dog's urine is the problem, and somebody used to make a product, and they probably still make it. It did not sell well. That you would go after the dog would urinate, and you could sprinkle some of this on there, and then that would change the pH and keep it from burning the lawn. You might check with your vet, because I have been told by some folks and the vets that they have something like a little supplement that will change the pH of the dog's urine. And again, I don't know anything about it, but that would do the job. Other than that, you get your hose out and wash it down every time the dog pees, which I know that's going to be kind of hard to do.
Anything else? Anything else, Jason? Thank you, my brother.
This is normally because I'm not a dog lover, but I'm not a dog hater. I just don't, we've had kids. So that's generally, and I was holding back where I normally would say, well, you just tape the dog's legs together. And then everyone calls and yells at you and stuff.
Yeah, I had my deck redone, so I don't urinate outside nearly as much as I used to.
Oh.
Yeah.
I bet the neighbors love that.
I think they're disappointed.
Well, they may.
Dennis Dietrich, I haven't heard, but he may be disappointed in that.
So I guess the way to find out if the change is, have you noticed more damage from rabbits and chipmunks since you're not urinating outside?
Oh, yeah. Well, there's something that comes up on my deck and takes a dump all the time.
Yeah, see, there you go.
And that's not me.
So that's
yeah.
that's right there tells you what you were doing. You were putting a protective barrier around that deck area as you urinate.
And everything feels compelled, I think, to come back there now.
Yeah.
So did I tell you that I had a chipmunk get in my living room the other day?
Really?
I did.
It's the second time today.
You ever have a chipmunk get in your house?
I have not.
Well, Laney's cat was staring at something, and I go, what the hell's happening here? And I go over, and there is a chipmunk in my living room.
Hmm.
So I opened both of the doors and then chased the chipmunk around until it finally ran out one of the doors.
I had a friend named John that today came in the store and had his wife was very upset. He had a chipmunk running around their house, and I just got him a couple of rat traps, little peanut butter on them.
I can't do that to the chipmunk.
Why?
Man.
They're rodents.
Yeah.
They're rodents.
Chipmunks are rodents?
Don't fall for.
Come on now.
Don't fall for this.
Simon Theodore, not rats.
Walt Disney started this whole thing, this love of chipmunks. They're just rodents.
Man.
They're no different than a rat.
I was going to kill the little dude. I mean, Zeke the cat was going to get him, but I ended up ushering him out. So my question is, I was going to have your connection with Indiana Foundation come out and say, okay, so how did this thing get in? Because it didn't just open the back door here. So how did we get in?
Yep, Michaelis, Indiana Foundation.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Yes,
Swainco.
Michaelis, I should say.
No.
Send one of your sponsors my direction right here because we got to check the foundation because
you sure
got in.
Sure he didn't just slide in the door?
There is a way. I think there's a mysterious tube that goes from outside to inside very easily.
Oh, that could.
So,
but did you find him in the basement?
No, he's in my living room. I think he was looking for the remote to watch TV.
Oh, fair enough. As long as he cleans up after himself.
I just know that Zeke the cat was staring at something.
But Zeke the cat, cats always act like they're a big deal. Did Zeke the cat do anything?
Well, he was trying.
Was he?
But I think he wanted to play a little bit more than anything else. So
my son Andrew had a squirrel, and his cat just kind of scared of the squirrel.
Yeah, that happens all the time.
Sure.
Hey, James, give me Jim, who's on line 4. #AskPat. Hello, Jim. How are you?
I'm great, JMV. How you doing?
Jim, fantastic. You're on with Pat Sullivan. Go ahead, Jim.
I got a question for Pat. I bought a Broil King 3-burner grill 7 or 8 years ago, and it's still going strong. It's got a good heavy lid, and the grates are really good. Is that considered a pretty good make of grill?
I believe that the Broil King, I get the charbroil as the Broil King, but isn't the Broil King the one that's made in Indiana?
That I'm not sure of, but I know I think I've seen the charbroils, and I think the Broil Kings are much.
That's what I think. I think that is
their burners are multi-controllable.
I think Broil King, if I've got the names right, is also a Canadian company and actually is made in Huntington, Indiana.
Okay.
But
I really like mine, though. It's lasted quite a while, so
that's a good one.
Hey, thank you for the call. Appreciate that. All right, Jim, thank you for the call. Question: do you have to be somewhere, or are you okay?
No, I'm fine.
How about I want to do Tony East? Can we bring Pat back? We have all these people on hold, and all these people that want to have questions. And since we have been delayed for a month and a half, 5 o'clock's open right here. How about 5 o'clock? Can you hang?
I'll hang.
Pat Sullivan's going to hang. We're going to give you a little extra time with #AskPat coming up at the 5 o'clock hour. Tony East regarding the second-round draft and why it made sense by the Pacers. And then off to free agency, the dollar amount that 33 is expected to get. That and more coming up. Tony East and Pat Sullivan, #AskPat. Stay on hold. Pat rejoins in the 5 o'clock hour. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
You are. This channel is reserved for emergency calls only.
Lady, do I sound like I'm ordering a pizza? 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Sit tight right there. Pat Sullivan. Hashtag Ask Pat for free Yeti. Ooh, wild sex by Oingo Boingo right there, James. Wild sex. Pat rejoins in the 5 o'clock hour. Storms on the inbound right now. Our AccuWeather forecast, we can't see because there are no windows in this shoebox, but the AccuWeather forecast states that we will tell you if any of those storms coming into the area are severe. Pat Sullivan returns in the 5 o'clock hour. Andy Moore, Automotive Group Hotline right now. Friend of the show, knows all with the fever, with the Pacers draft. And that says a lot considering especially the second of these second-round selections in Talon Peter last night out of Liberty. It is one Tony East who is with us now. You know, the one characteristic that is above all else, I think, with this draft with the Pacers, Tony, is the team concept is something that they have absolutely embraced and they are running with, and both of these guys fit that mold.
Yes, I totally agree with that. I mean, I actually made a huge typo last night, and I have to explain it because I was looking to see how they fit with the Pacers. So they picked Cam Jones, and I looked at his points and assist numbers, and then I went straight to his turnover rate, right? I wanted to see if he was a low turnover guy. The Pacers are all about the possession battle. And I put his turnover percentage as his assists per game in my tweet because I was so dialed into that Pacers-y number, right? And it's clearly what, one of the things he's good at is being a pretty high-volume offensive player, right? He led the Big East in assist percentage last year. His usage was really high, but his turnover rate was really low, right? And he can play at pretty good tempo and pace, right? Like, that's a perfect fit for how they hope to play. And then he can develop in that system. He has some off-ball reps in the past. And then, of course, Talon Peter. I mean, I don't even need to explain why they at least see something in that guy. These shooting percentages look fake, right? He was like the only center non-center, in college basketball last year with a true shooting percentage over 70. Like every other player with his level of efficiency was basically only shooting layups and dunks. Yes. And he dunks too. He's pretty athletic. So that obviously is a fit in any program, including the Pacers. We'll see if he ever develops the rest of his game because he played a lot of D2 hoops. It's a very unrefined yet developing player, but it's very clear why they think they can fit in the Pacers system and the way they play. And that's why I think that even if you think these guys are question marks, it makes a ton of sense why they were picks for the Pacers specifically.
Yeah, you talk about Peter from Liberty too. The analytics folks over there, he gives you numbers that you said it looked fake. The analytics folks, and again, they're not basketball. They're these mathematical wizards and such. They don't believe it. It doesn't look real to them.
Yeah, I have analytics people I know with other teams just from past work, and I texted one of them and I was like, "Have you heard of this guy? Like, is this real?" And I remember a few years ago when Terry Taylor, if Pacers people remember him, was with the Pacers. Rick Carlisle gave the analytics staff kind of credit for finding him. After he was an undrafted guy they signed, who came up through the Mad Ants. Like they've had success with that crew finding them some good college players in the past, and they did it again this time. So. Or at least potentially, obviously. We've never seen him play. Like, those numbers just explode at you, and we'll see if it actually translates. But then to be able to hit over 70% of your twos as a 6'4" guard is something crazy.
It is nuts, no doubt about that. Comes off the bench at Liberty, but they wanted to start him. He didn't want to disrupt the team, so his choice was to come off the bench if anybody were to ask about that situation there. Again, those two selections last night in round 2 for the Pacers. So now we get into free agency and obviously the offseason after what took place in the postseason, which was incredible and will be etched in our memory forever. Miles Turner situation. I think all along their plan was to bring him back, and I don't think that's changed. I don't know after the struggle offensively in the finals if there was, any reevaluation of monetary terms, whatever the case. But are you with me on that? What they felt before the finals, they feel now going in here to free agency in the offseason?
Yeah, I think Rick Carlisle made it clear with the number one priority stuff that is, nothing really changed in terms of how they feel about him. He's a good player. He fits well with what they do on both ends of the floor. And the thing is, look, you're a big Miles guy like I am as well. yes, his finals was not good, right? Clearly. But you have to make it to the finals, right? Like, there were 100 other games that the Pacers played last year, and he was quite good in many of them. And people keep dumping on this conference finals. I'm like, he shot 50% in every game that series. His defense wasn't great, but, like, I think it's being a little overstated. And, again, the 100 other games also matter quite a bit. And even if the thing that changed anything is not the finals to me, it's Halliburton's injury and how that might change the way they think about their spending. But I still think that having good players for when Halliburton comes back is valuable, and having Turner's contract is valuable. So even with changed circumstances and a bad finals, it still makes a ton of sense for him to be a priority.
Yeah, completely agree with that. So what is their approach to you going to be? I'm fine with them doing what they know and going with what they have. Is that essentially what you expect them to do going into next year?
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because maybe their goals change a little bit because their ceiling is much lower without Halliburton, but they don't have a ton of options to make huge improvements just given their financial situation or make any sort of dramatic move. That's not to say they shouldn't try, like every team should try to get better. They'll just tweak their roster in some ways, but I kind of feel like it's going to be next year about, both the combination of winning with the resources they have and developing, because they still are a younger team, right? That was the theme of the finals, is the youth of these Thunder and Pacers teams. Obviously, they have a couple of vets who play, but I think that'll kind of be what they look at is, do they kind of need to reprioritize some of their younger guys in terms of the way they're playing this coming season? But I'd imagine not a ton of free agency fireworks or major moves for them, even though, their priorities might have changed next year.
Do you think any of this dynamic roster-wise is going to change? I mean, other than obviously what could end up changing with Bradley or Bryant or somebody toward the tail end or guys that didn't play, but what's your expectation for what it does look like? And if they do go a new addition route of some form or fashion, what may that look like?
Yeah, the thing that I think they have to think about is, if Halliburton didn't get hurt, this would be easy. But, the tax is this boogeyman we've all talked about for forever, and they're somewhat close to it now. If they re-sign Turner to a reasonable deal, that will likely cross over it. And I wonder what their appetite is for paying any or a large amount of tax this season, given that they probably don't have that same ceiling. And so I wonder if players in that mid-tier salary range, those are the guys that could be discussed as could be moved for a lesser salary or moved for future assets. That group of salary players would be like Jarris Walker, T.J. McConnell, Ben Mathurin, Obi Toppin, that kind of range of player salary on the team. I'd at least keep an eye on that to see if those guys get explored in any way or if the Pacers look to reduce payroll by moving them. Because the other factor is, with the tax, you don't have to start the season under it. You have to finish the season under it.
Right.
So perhaps they try to make moves that keep them like one move away from getting under the tax. If they, let's say it's the trade deadline and they're, 25 and 28 or something, you don't want to pay the luxury tax for that team. They'd like to know they can make a move and get out. So that's what I would keep an eye on in free agency is, do they keep themselves close enough to the tax line that moving one of those guys for much less or no salary is plausible and gets them under? And so just keep an eye on those names in free agency or any other smaller kind of stuff. That's why I think they traded for pick 38, because Cam Jones now can carry a smaller salary than the veterans minimum this season, and he just so happens to be like a pretty good player who fits their system.
Now he is Tony East, SB Nation, Locked On Pacers, WTHR, all that work Tony does with both the Pacers and the Fever. We'll get to the Fever and their circumstances on the road in Dallas coming up later on tonight in a second, but I did want to close with this. I talked to Bobby Marks on Monday, immediately following that Game 7 loss and all that went into Sunday night and now the uncertain short term going into next year. And his thought was, you bring back Miles, you evaluate, as you just mentioned, and it's interesting. We gave it time last year, and Tony, it worked out. Essentially, they're not going to give themselves a lot of time this year. They're probably going to make some heavy decisions if things aren't going according to what they hope this year, right?
Yeah, I would think so. And, those tough decisions kind of have to be focused on not only their spending, but like the following season, right? What's still going to fit and work when Halliburton is back? Who looks better or worse than this season? Excuse me, Max screaming at me, of those guys that fit, right? So I'll just be very curious. I think the season and the basketball, this is kind of how the Pacers have set themselves up from a spending and team building perspective for years, where they put themselves in a spot where the basketball will tell them the answers, right? Whatever happens on the floor will reveal who they should keep or what money they should balance or how things should change. And I think they've done a good job responding to that new information, and that's why they like to be flexible. For now, right now, they don't have a ton of flexibility without, making moves, but that's not to say they can't do anything. It's just they have to think harder about maybe some unpopular or less emotionally fun to make trades, for lack of a better way to put it. So it's not like they're still in a good spot, obviously. It's just when you lose your star player for a year, you have to think very differently and about things that are not fun to talk about internally.
It's R.J. Felton, Samson Johnson. I know Stephen Ashworth from Creighton were three names that we heard with some summer league play. Anybody else of note that I'm not mentioning here or I haven't seen that you've heard about?
Those are the only three that I heard about last night as well.
All right. Tony East was with us on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. I want to double back to what I said a moment ago. We waited this past year on the Pacers, and that wait paid off. No alarm bells were sounding, but should they be for the Fever, considering the expectations compared to where this team, with or without Caitlin Clark, is presently located?
Yeah, I have to give first a that guy answer of I didn't have as high as expectations as maybe the consensus did for the team. I kind of thought they were in that 4 or 5 tier of team going into the season. Now, that said, they've been worse than that too, right? And that's kind of why it's been a weird season where it's very easy to excuse their under 500 record with Clark's missed a bunch of games. They've had a head coach in and out a few times. Bonner's missed all this time before that waiver, right? Sophie Cunningham missed games. It's obviously very easy to explain why they're not playing as well as they hoped in a season where they changed coaches, changed the front office, changed the roster. At the same time, there's a lot of games where 3/4 of the game looks great and 1 quarter they just look horrible, right? And that's kind of what's been so weird is how inconsistent and all over the place they've been, even as they're developing. And they've got to figure out a way to find some consistency, and I think that comes down to getting their system down better and finding another level on defense, because at their worst, their defense just looks awful, and they've got to figure that out. Their defense has been quite poor for years. They've been one of the bottom 3 defensive teams every year I've covered the Fever. I think they can be better than that this year, but they've got to find a way to actually do it.
All right, the DeWanna Bonner soap opera, is it more of a her problem or a Fever problem or just all together here? What will we ultimately learn comes down to being the absolute truth out of this?
Yeah, that was and is a little bit of a bizarre one, right? I think obviously if you're the Fever, you'd like the 6-time All-Star and 2024 All-Star that you just signed to play games, obviously. But obviously I think they understand that if it's not a fit at all and doesn't want to be there anymore, they clearly explored moving on. I don't think they would have explored that if they didn't think that the fit could have been better, the situation would have gotten a lot better, right? That's just logic. They haven't said that. I just thinking about what I would do in their situation. That's what I think the situation could have or should have been. So it certainly was not as good of a fit as I think anybody, including me, predicted it could be, right? The system was faster, and they required a lot more player and ball movement, and Bonner just didn't really click that way. Lexi Hall was much better. They switched the starting lineup. The lineups kept changing with Caitlin in and out. It just never gelled, and the fit wasn't there. Maybe some off-court stuff isn't there, like her fiance plays for the Mercury. She was posting pictures with her kids this week. I have no idea what her reasons for not liking the fit in Indiana were, but we'll see where she moves on. But the lesson maybe is just the fit wasn't there for a veteran who's fit well with Stephanie White before, and they got to figure out what culturally went wrong for that to be the case.
Yeah, they were an absolute mess last night, especially in the fourth quarter. In Dallas tonight, no Caitlin Clark. Commissioner's Cup coming up on Tuesday in Minneapolis against the Lynx. What is the longer term outside of tonight in Dallas with no Clark you're thinking about as far as her return is concerned?
Yeah, they said she's day-to-day, which could be, they don't play till Tuesday after tonight, perhaps that. But you never know with groin things, and this is that same side of her body where the quad injury was and other stuff. And, I get to use the fancy term that I don't actually know what it means, but all the doctors say muscle band, right? All this stuff can be related. You never know how it's affecting her because the road trip they just went on, she wasn't particularly good, was in quite the slump. So I think they need to get her healthy and right. They built this system with these players around her and her strengths, and that's smart to do. She's very good. They need her to be 100% to play that way, so I think they'll obviously hope it's as soon as possible because we're missing Paige versus Caitlin round 1 tonight. That's a bit of a bummer.
All right, I'm going to wrap this thing up with my strained quad and maybe play on Sunday. Is that a good or a bad idea?
You still have the boot on?
Oh, yeah. I'm trying to hustle back. I put it on especially and then tightened that bad boy up after I saw Halliburton
When
on
you get
Sunday
it
night. At my convenience. Maybe Sunday. What do you think? Am I smart or should I wait a little longer?
I mean, you got to use the sympathy card as long as you can, right?
Yeah. They just give me crap for being old, though. That's not really sympathetic.
Without knowing how you got hurt, I will not give you crap, but that is tempting.
Hey, man, I know you got to run here. Thank you very much. Have a great weekend. We'll check in next week and see what the hell is going on because there still is a lot happening, man. I appreciate you.
Yes, there is. You got it. Thanks for having me.
Tony East on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Locked On Pacers, THR, SB Nation, BR, all that and more. Pat Sullivan returns. Top of the hour as well. Maybe a little bit prior to that. Hashtag Ask Pat. Questions. Free Yeti coming up with Pat Sullivan of Sullivan Hardware and Garden. It is his debut episode on this Friday. And storms out and about right now. We got a storm center update here. Anything? Is everything okay?
I think it just expired at 4:45. For Marion County.
Oh, was there a Marion County severe thunderstorm warning?
There was. I'm not exactly
I'm not on top of
meteorologist
it right
here, but
dang it.
That's what I see.
I didn't see it. I'm not on top of this stuff right now. We'll get you updated on that. Pat reemerges. Calls with Pat Sullivan, too, at 239-1070. All coming up. Stay right there. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
music. 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Pat Sullivan in our AccuWeather forecast, right on top of it. The severe thunderstorm warning expired about 8 minutes ago. 60-mile-an-hour winds included for the Grove, Southport, and Greenwood. Is that somewhere in the? Ooh, that could have been maybe a little bit north for the JMV Ranch right there. A little bit, but I got out there and mowed today, so I'm all good.
It's really about your
the shirtless mow.
It's about our listeners, not about your home.
Yeah, exactly. I know. So my bronzing, that's how I get a nice solid bronzing right here too from mowing. Shirtless. Oh. Yeah, this has been a shirtless summer for me, Pat.
Well, I can imagine if you've lost 80 pounds, I'd go shirtless too.
Shirtless summertime. We'll keep you updated. Severe thunderstorm watch is in effect for northeastern Indiana until 9 o'clock tonight. Not that anybody around here cares too much about that, but that is absolutely true. Pat, do you know of a restaurant called The Kitchen in Carmel? Because Maddie reached out to me, and they are big-time listeners of this program.
Oh, great.
Yes, a neighborhood restaurant in Carmel, Indiana. Longtime listeners are the owners. Really admire the energy and connection you bring to the local community. I do have a lot of energy.
You do.
And connection.
You should do the show from there. From the kitchen.
The kitchen. I bet they have only the finest of cottage cheese.
I bet they do.
Know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
What's your favorite cottage cheese, Pat?
I don't know the name of it, but it's a...
Daisy? Is it Daisy?
No, it's not Daisy. It's a very, very tight...
Tight. I want mine tight,
It's a very tight mix. It doesn't, it's not clumpy like some of the others.
You want it you want it firm.
I want it tight, firm.
I want my cottage cheese firm, too.
Yes, and I want my cottage cheese, and then I like to take some pineapple salsa.
I don't like to do that.
And put it over the top. Well, you should try it. Have you tried it? Have you tried it?
No, I've just done
Okay,
plain.
well, you know what? Then you don't know what you're missing.
I do occasionally slop some tuna in my cottage cheese.
I would never do that.
Oh, it's good, buddy. Let me tell you that. A little hickory smoked tuna.
Little
cottage
pineapple.
cheese
It's not
mixture
spicy
right there.
like regular salsa. But
You know what that does to a man like me, Pat Sullivan? Oh, man. As if I'm already... All right, let's take a quick
my
break.
dad
We'll come
always
back.
would say, well, that'd make hair grow on your...
Hashtag Ask Pat questions. Yeti is what you can win if James selects you. And 239-1070. Questions for Pat Sullivan. Hashtag Ask Pat coming up. 5 o'clock hour. We've got the Harrah's Hoosier Park race of the day, and somebody is going to go see Sandler at Gambridge Fieldhouse in October on us. That's Adam Sandler.
That's nice. It's great.
The Sandman.
Yeah.
Once upon a time was supposed to get me to play pickup basketball.
Oh, boy.
And did not call.
Here we go.
I was pissed about that. Didn't call. I waited on the edge of my bed. I'd hurt myself. I was as drugged up as any human has been since Tony Montana and Scarface at his desk.
How old were you?
This was back during the Super Bowl here. Remember when I was blackballed by ESPN? But Sandler came on with me and invited me to play pickup basketball.
Oh, that was nice.
And instead, you know who played instead of me? NASCAR driver Casey Kane.
Oh.
You know how big a load of BS that is? You know how much better I am than Casey Kane? Probably as a driver, too. I was pissy. Well, I have tickets for you. I still love Adam
You know,
Sandler.
the problem with you, John,
I don't
we've
hold a
talked
grudge?
about it is, is that your memory, I would hate.
I remember every detail.
That's what I mean.
James hates me because of that, too, because I remember everything.
I mean, he can tell you every movie and where and when it was the movie.
Except
it's like,
the hotline number. I can't remember that here.
I don't remember. 239-1070.
You got, well, that's not the hotline number, but that is the number.
Right.
I do remember that. All right.
We got a new hotline number, don't we?
We do.
Yeah.
Pat Sullivan on the other side. You guys get ready for it. 5 o'clock hour with Pat. We're next.
Not gonna fall for the banana in the tailpipe?
It should be more natural, brother. It should flow out like this. Look, man, I ain't falling for no banana in my tailpipe.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Oh, this is what group right here, Pat?
I have no idea, John.
One Hit Wonder, 1986. James knows what it is because he's looking at it right now.
I had 3 kids then, all babies.
This is the Blow Monkeys right here, Pat Sullivan.
You know, I was going to say that.
Got your message, baby. So sad to see you fade away. No? Digging Your Scene. That's a great 80s song right here. You've never heard the Blow Monkeys?
No,
James,
not at all. I have not.
I think I've heard them once before, and it was because you told me to play them.
Hell yeah. Blow Monkeys,
No,
Digging
don't
Your
know
Scene,
that.
1986. 1986 was a good year for music, especially one-hit wonders.
I was 26.
The System, Don't Disturb This Groove was 1986 as well. Timex Social Club, Rumors, 1986 as well. One of one-hit wonders in 1986. I believe Tarzan Boy, Baltimora, the Italian band. Am I hitting the spot, fellas?
Tarzan Boy is 1985.
What?
Whoa!
Give me the month. Come on now.
December 31st.
Give me the month. When it was Billboard's Hot 100, it was 1986, wasn't it? Come on.
Released, it just says 1985. I am not seeing a month right now.
Yeah, if you're going to trust Wikipedia over my big 80s brain, then that's your first stinking mistake right there. Don't do that. Hey, by the way, Michael, the owner of the District Tap, 2 locations we were talking about, and a partner of this show, we love Michael, mentioned Broad Ripple. Gorgeous out. The temperatures are a little bit lower right now because of the storms didn't hit Broad Ripple. And he wanted me to mention Cholita in the Quarter in Broad Ripple.
Cholita is one of my favorites.
Yes,
it's one of my favorite places.
That's one of his sister restaurants.
Yeah. Oh, is it really?
Yeah, James is going to go one-up me right here because I can see it on his face.
Absolutely. In the United Kingdom, it was number 3 on the boards in September of 1985. So
in the UK, all right?
That's fair.
We're always 5 months behind that music in the 80s here. Come on, give me some respect. What do they say? Put respect to my name.
It does say here. It ultimately peaked at number 13 in early 1986.
Thank you very much. Seriously, Wikipedia or JMV? What would you rather go with on anything 80s?
I'm with you, John.
Yes, Cholita, you mentioned.
Yeah, we go there. That's in the old lumber company. I like to go in there. I like to kill their vibe sometimes because it's a really cool place. And they go, hey, cool, we've got a table over here in the corner. I say, I really want to sit at the bar.
Why not?
And I go in there, and then I start going, this used to be a lumber yard.
Yes. What? Michael says shout out, by the way. He's a big fan. Big fan of Pat Sullivan is Michael right there.
Excellent.
So. All right, 239-1070. Hashtag Ask Pat questions. What do you guys got going on at Sullivan Hardware and Garden? Anything this weekend?
We have, what we're doing is at our Keystone and Cicero store where we pump propane, we're doing $12 grill tank fills.
Wait a minute, $12?
$12.
I'm going to bring mine up there.
Yeah, $12.
I grill out almost every meal now.
The guys that fill the propane are real thrilled about that.
I bet they are, aren't they?
They've already pitched
every
a
5
tent.
minutes.
They put a tent up over the filling station.
Well, what does it normally cost?
$18 for a
Good
fill.
Deal right there, buddy. Well done.
Yeah. So that'll be good for the upcoming holiday if it gets cool enough to start a grill.
I want to ask you this before I get back to the calls, and this is a specific grilling question. And this is not because I'm lazy. This is out of what I believe. I think it's detrimental to the flavor off of your grill to constantly clean it. Is that accurate?
Yeah.
I think you get a little bit of former grilling flavor there that goes well beyond just my lazy ass.
I would agree with that to some extent. You have to be a little careful about the pan where
starting a fire
because
I got a lot of ash down. I do. I've got a little
there's
residue
a lot of grease
and some ash.
and a lot of times there's classic is 2 guys standing in front of the grill talking and the flames are just flowing out the back of it.
Right.
And that
I am careful about that. So I do. I the flavor saver on there, and then I don't often hang with my meat. Sometimes I leave my meat and go inside and watch TV and come back out.
I will tell you this. When guys look at their meat too much, your meat's not as good because all that constant opening and the temperature going up and down. It's really, you should put your.
So you think I'm smart by just leaving my meat there and going inside?
Yeah. I mean, if it's that big a deal, take a picture of your meat and then put it on the grill and just stop opening it.
Now, if it's salmon or something delicate, I may watch it a little bit more.
Sure.
But, I mean, if it's...
Sure. But how about a little smoked chips for flavor?
What do I put those smoked chips in terms of?
On a gas grill?
On my gas grill.
You know what? You get a smoking tube. It's a round tube that looks like it has a wire mesh on it, and then you buy pellets for it. Oak, hickory, mesquite.
Really?
Apple.
No idea.
And then you fire those up and you just set that on the grill. So for the gas grill guy, it gives him a chance to introduce a little bit of smoke.
I need to do that. Yeah. Why don't you bring one of those in for me sometime, would you?
Will do.
I'd love to try that there. Smoking tube is what you said?
Smoking tube, yeah.
All right, hashtag AskPat, 239-1070. D. White is on this show, not as in Dwight, but Derek White, who joins us with Pat Sullivan. Hello, Derek.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. How are you guys doing?
Great. You got a question for Pat Sullivan of Sullivan Hardware and Garden.
Yeah, thanks for taking my call. Pat, I have some green giant thujas. I think I'm saying that right. Is that how you pronounce that?
Thuga. It's an arborvitae.
Was it asparagus in a green giant can? Did you get it from Meyer?
No, green giant is the arbs. Like,
okay.
Like when people don't like their neighbor and they put the line of the green. Those are arbs.
I thought you were talking about a can of asparagus. Okay.
No, that'd be different.
Okay.
Yeah, I do like my neighbor, but I did put a line of those around my property. But my question is, they need some love. They're doing okay. They're not as green as I would like them to be.
First of all, how old
I be doing with them?
How old are they?
This is probably their third year.
Okay. So all the arbs, those the green giant, and the other one I can't remember the name right now, they're shallow rooted. So you got to watch in this kind of, even 3 years old, you need to make sure. I would take a soaker hose and zigzag it all through there and make sure they get regular watering. And then what I would do is get a product called Evergreen Tone by Espoma, and this stuff contains a product called Biotone for root development, and that's exactly what arbs need. So Evergreen Tone.
Okay. I will be by there Monday to pick some of that up.
Look at that. Look at what we're doing right there with Derek White.
Thank you
very
much.
Place right there. Derek, have a great weekend, buddy.
All right. Thank you.
Hashtag AskPat or 239-1070. This is from Tyler. Pat, what's the best way to clean a Traeger grill and grate?
You know what? I will tell you the things that have gone out are wire brushes.
Oh, no more wire brushes.
No, you know what? Somebody got a piece of wire got in a hamburger and it got stuck in somebody's stomach, and so it's kind of like when that.
So I just use my spatula.
It's kind of like when that turtle got a straw up its nose.
Yeah,
it's all the straws are gone now. The wire. So there's different types of cleaning tools now, and there's also some great sprays too. So pretty easy. Just the thing about the Traeger,
or just not clean it like me,
is you got to pull that thing out and get a shop vac, and you got to pull up the dust, because that is where the Traegers can get a pretty fierce fire if you don't keep them clean.
Oh, really?
Yes, they can.
No idea.
Yes, they can.
What's the most popular meat to be cooking right now? Is there anything?
You know what? I think 4th of July is going to be ribs. I mean, the guys from Kincaid's told me that Father's Day.
Shout out to Kincaid.
Is one of the biggest meat days.
Is it really?
Yeah. They always have a big tomahawk sale.
So I would love to have a tomahawk on the grill.
It's $50 a pound.
Is it really?
Yeah.
A tomahawk's $50?
Yep, they can get it to you for $45 though.
Big damn bone right there. That weighs, right?
I know, but you know what? In a restaurant, there's nothing better. You got to pick that thing up and just hold it above your head.
I always loved it because it looks like what they bring out at the drive-in and put on the side of Fred Flintstone's car.
Fred Flintstone, right.
Yeah, they go, here's your big tomahawk right here. Yeah. He stuck his face in it.
It's crazy.
I love that. Hashtag AskPat, 239-1070. Tyler, thank you for that. Darnell writes this. Hey, John and Pat, since it's been a wet spring, how much does the plant Mandevilla?
Yep, Mandevilla.
Mandevilla? It's Villa, right? It's not Villa. Villa if it's southern Indiana. Villa. Mandevilla.
It's a
Need water. I planted this on my balcony in memory of my aunt. Does too much sun hurt it?
No, it is a tropical, so it is fine with the sun. But you need to water it, but at the same time, not too much.
Not too much.
So hopefully you're in a bigger pot than that 10-inch pot that it came in. So you get it in a nice size pot, give it regular watering, and because it is a blooming plant and it will bloom all the way through frost, make sure you get a little fertilizer on it, and that can be liquid fertilizer. I always put liquid fertilizer.
Right. That makes sense.
No big deal. Yep.
Yeah. There you go, Darnell. All right, Martin's on line 3 at 239-1070. A question for Pat Sullivan. Hello, Martin.
JMV, good to talk to you, brother.
Right back
I am
at you,
actually, buddy. I'm headed home, and I am passing the great R table as I'm driving.
Shout out to R Table. I wonder. I have not heard if Don Fisher. This is a favorite hangout in Bargersville with Joe and Ginger, Voice of the Hoosiers, Don Fisher and I. And Susie Fisher, too. We all hang out there. They eat and then watch me drink.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's always good. It's a good thing going on there. So, hey, Martin, thank you very much for the shout-out to our table, too. Love it.
Yes, sir. Well, my question for Pat is this. I had a plumber, Pat, come through the other day, and I talked about getting a battery backup for my sump pump.
Yep.
He is suggesting a product, and I'm going to mess it up, so I'm just going to give you the description. Something to the effect of it's not even a battery backup. It hooks into your water line.
Yeah.
It's like a siphon. What's your preference? I know I listen to you on IBC all the time, but wanted to know what your preference would be on something like that. I've heard pros and cons.
Yeah, so what that is I think it's made by Zoller, and it's or one of them, and it's it uses city water pressure, so it wouldn't work for somebody that had a pump that the pump went off with the electricity. But with the city water pressure, they use that to move the pump, and then and the water from the city water and the water out of the basement is pumped out. Now, my friend Denny Smith is against those. And he is solid on a battery backup system. And that's what I had the water driven one. And then on Denny's advice, because he was whining a little bit, I went ahead and got the battery backup.
Was Denny whining?
Oh, sure.
Oh. Martin, thank you for the call, man. Shout out to our table, Joe and Ginger down in Bargersville, too. A great place.
Have you heard of the Creek Crawlers?
Is that a band?
No, it's some neighborhood kids in my neighborhood. And this is kind of funny because I was thinking, they
get in the creek? Oh, I loved the creek back in the day.
Okay, well, these kids have connected. So they started a page.
Do they find crawdads and stuff? I love
So it says
hunting.
six boys trying to do something different this summer. All right, get this. They have 6 posts. They're doing a post every day.
Okay.
They now have 391,000 followers.
Are you kidding me?
I am not kidding.
300. They're local. They're local.
They're
here?
local. They're my neighborhood. They're part of the TVT, the Terra Vista terrorists.
Why is that? Just they're cool, but
they're just. I guess what it is they connected somehow. This is connected with people. We're so busy, and they see these kids playing in the creek like we did when we were kids.
Because nobody does that anymore.
No. 391.
So what kind of creeks?
Wait a minute, 392,000.
What kind of creeks are around you? And what are in those creeks? Do I want to know?
There's just little sunfish and.
Well, I mean, what drains into those creeks?
Well, it's got some probably E. coli. In there.
Probably.
No, it's just a creek.
A little bit.
Yeah, we got a creek behind our house. It's a drainage ditch probably, but there's deer in the neighborhood. It's just like
I live on the fringe. I'm being from Greene County and on the fringe of Morgan County. I know that there are some out there that probably flush their toilets, and there's just a little ditch that goes right down to the local creek.
That's no good.
I guarantee that. Because there are no rules in either Greene or Morgan County, right? You just do whatever you want.
Well, I wouldn't think so, John, but if that's your people.
So my man Corey from Lux Labs, just a great place up in Carmel. Lux Labs, that's where I did the electric thing that I put to get abs.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I've heard of that.
Like the thing, it's like the equivalent of 30,000 crunches, which is awesome, by the way. Love that. Corey said that Kyle Kinnett's son, Jackson, is one
of the creek crawlers.
Of the creek crawlers right there.
Yeah, Kinnett's live right at the top of the hill there.
Shout out to Kyle Kinnett, Bullseye Event Group. I did not. They're one of the Jackson's, one of the creek crawlers right there.
392,000.
That's pretty awesome right there.
It is. So, I was thinking maybe if you call Kinnett's son, maybe they would repost one of your.
I know it. Can I get a little help right here? Yeah. Give me a little bit of social media help. What's it, creek crawlers?
From some 12-year-olds.
So, and shout out to Corey from Lux Labs. You know where Lux Labs is in Carmel?
I do not.
Right across from the Kroger in Carmel right
okay.
there. What a great place that is. Wow. Those stomach crunches work, too.
Do they?
Gina Galeros and I did that a couple of different times together.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Do they ever just plug you in without going through the transformer? Or
I told them.
Take it hot? They
said, what would you like? And I said, put mine just below electrocution. I'm good. But, man, Corey is awesome. Lux Labs, by the way, too.
All right.
It is a great place to go. All right, hashtag AskPatter 239-1070 is the number. LT's on line 5 with Pat Sullivan. Hello, LT. How are you?
Hey, guys. How we doing?
Great. Go ahead, LT.
I got a question. I have a coconut palm that I've had for 4 years. For some reason, I can't get it to grow. It's like a bush now. I was under the impression that it grew tall.
So is this something? This is a tropical, like a tropical, right? This is not some.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a tropical fruit.
All right. So where are you keeping it, and what size pot is it in?
I'm keeping it in the house now. I've transplanted it 3 times. Right now, I got it in a pot that I made about 5 feet tall.
Okay.
So
and are you
it's about 16 inches round?
Do you? God, Lord, sorry about that.
That's all right. I was looking at my phone. I said, my phone doesn't sound like that. That's got to be Pat Sullivan.
Yeah, it sure does.
It's okay. Go ahead.
So, do you take it out during the summer?
Well, I did before, and it got scorched. So I was afraid to take it out anymore.
Well, you need a nice shady spot, but I would get it a little more light. I don't really know if you've already repotted it, but you have to be careful not to go. You generally would go from, if it's a 10-inch, you go to a 12-inch, but you wouldn't go from a 10-inch to a 20-inch because it just does weird things to those things. But I would get it outside. That's where it wants to be.
Get it outside.
Yep. And I would put some biotone from a spoma on it. Biotone.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
You can get it anywhere. Yep. Box stores anywhere has biotone.
Okay, sounds good.
Well done, LT. Thank you for the call. Brad Huffman says, what's the best plant or shrub to help keep mosquitoes away from the patio/pool, Pat?
There's the only thing that I actually see that somewhat can work is more of a flower, and that is a marigold. Putting marigolds. Everything else, shrubs in general, will draw mosquitoes. People try to put, there's different grasses, lemongrass. You ever see lemongrass? You drink a lot of beer. Sometimes you get a craft beer that has lemongrass in it, and lemongrass is
very, very much caloric for me. Right so I got to go 90 calories or less.
That is one of those things that is supposed to repel mosquitoes. So I always thought if you drank a lemongrass beer, you'd be protected. But most of those things do not repel because what you would have to do is it's the oil inside the plant. So the citronella. So Dick Crum would always say, it works. Just have a brick. And when you see a mosquito, throw the brick at the citronella and it'll smash it. And then that releases some of that oil and that will repel. So really the best thing to use is some of the citronella. I mean, there's torches and different things like that. And you can also spray. There's organic sprays you can use. But I don't think that any shrub that I know of is actually repellent.
Gotcha. Hashtag Ask Pat. Fulton is on the line here.
My man, Fulton.
Hello, John. How are you?
I'm great. Pat Sullivan's here too, Fulton. Little recognition, buddy. Come on, man.
Hey, Fulton.
Hey, Pat. I just talked to you on the phone.
I know, so I'll shut up.
So, Pat, I'm dealing with some ants in my room. I'm trying to get rid of them, but they keep coming in and out again.
How much are you eating in there, Fulton?
I don't know. Probably not a lot lately.
Yeah. All right. Here's what you want to do. You want to go to the store and get a little ant trap called Terro. 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 and then you just kind of pop them open, and you just put it on the edge of the wall, and the ants will swarm it, and they will go back to the nest, and it'll take care of those.
Okay, that sounds good.
All right, so you're going to be.
John,
go ahead.
I'll be
sorry.
on the Home and Garden show on July 12th.
That's what I hear, and you're bringing your ukulele, from what I
Yes,
gather.
I am.
What are you going to be singing?
September.
That's the song.
It's classic Fulton right there.
Yep.
Earth, Wind, and Fire and Fulton, and his version of September on the ukulele that's sweeping the area.
Absolutely.
Exclusively.
Yeah.
All right, Fulton. Good to hear from you, buddy.
Yeah, good to hear you, John.
Have a great weekend. That is Fulton here. Is Adam on here for Pat or on here just for me? We'll do Adam coming up after Pat is gone here as well. All right, Sullivan Hardware and Garden plus the Home and Garden Show tomorrow morning on 93 WIBC. Correct?
That's right.
No,
that sounded like a lockout to me, John. I'm
it
sorry.
was not. No.
Okay.
Make sure you promote it.
Okay. Well, yeah. Yes. I am going on vacation, so.
You're not in tomorrow?
No. So I really don't care when they're on. But I assume
it's
there's
at 9 a.m.
9 a.m.
until 1
9 till
tomorrow.
1, and I'm on a plane at 7:30.
Where are you going?
We are going to Rhode Island. I have an interview with the Mafia. So
that's
I'm
where Jay Query is right now. He's actually at Fenway Park in Boston, but they landed in Rhode Island in Providence.
Really?
Are you really going to Rhode Island?
Yeah. We're
so
actually
is this something from The Departed kind of deal here?
You know what? We've gone there for years and years. My wife has some kin that way, so we go to Narragansett, Rhode Island.
That a good blue crab spot, Rhode Island?
Yes, it is.
I love me some blue crab.
Yeah,
I know that normally is Baltimore.
It's very nice.
But,
It's kind of different from Florida. It's kind of an East Coast beach, which is kind of interesting.
Right.
So, but the Mafia is still pretty strong there in Rhode Island.
Is.
So I'm going to try
down Providence way, as Frank Costello said in The Departed. That was Jack Nicholson.
There you
Remember
go.
The Departed?
Yeah, I do actually.
There was Mafia connected down Providence way.
So I put in an app online, just as a hitman, and I'm just going to see what they say.
Go do it.
Yeah.
Providence, Rhode Island. He will not be a part of what is going to be the Home and Garden Show tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. until 1 p.m. Denny, Terry, Allison, and I will call
Jack.
in. And Jack.
Jack from our Allisonville location.
Are they going to be on location tomorrow?
No, they're not.
Okay.
They're in studio, and matter of fact, I had a hard time getting in the building because I gave Jack my security card. So.
All right. Jack is in tomorrow.
Jack.
I'll be calling in at some point.
Excellent.
Like I normally do. Hey, I loved #AskPat. James is going to find a winner for the free Yeti.
All right.
And again next Friday.
2 20-ounce Yetis.
You got that right.
You're off next Friday. It's the 4th of July.
Oh, yeah, I am. When are we going to do it? Thursday then?
No, I'm on vacation.
Oh, you're out.
I'm out.
So we're going to do this one and then not be back for 2 weeks.
That's right.
Wow. That sounds like...
I told you that. Do you ever read the emails?
That sounds like something from WIBC right there.
Dude, you need to...
I'm on once and we're off for a month.
You need to get with the Creek Crawlers. I'm telling you.
Creek Crawlers. Shout out.
All
right. Thanks, Pat.
See you, man.
Pat Sullivan there. Your calls to close at 239-1070. Fever on the road tonight. Pacers drafting round 2 from last night. Tony East and I discussed a little bit earlier. Along with Lance Mallister of 700 WLW, the podcast at 1075thefan.com. Back with you next.
Got a cool soul patch.
He does, and a buttery smooth voice.
Oh, yeah.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
There you go. I was right about that. A 30-city North American fall tour. That is Adam Sandler. And October the 6th at Gainbridge Fieldhouse, he will be performing. I got to thank our friends at Live Nation. Let's go ahead and knock this thing loose. Number 9 at 239-1070. On us, you can go see The Sandman. And then if you win, you can thank me later. At your convenience. Thank me later. Number 9 at 239-1070, August the 6th. Adam Sandler. Tickets available now. You can win them now. Tickets available to get them as well. Just do it. But number 9 is a winner on this show. It felt so good to have Pat Sullivan back in studio. Podcast with Pat. Hashtag Ask Pat. The Yeti Prize Package winner will be announced, I'm assuming, by James coming up here before the end of the show. Tony East and Lance Mallister. Podcast from earlier today, 93.5 and 107.5. Actually, 107.5thefan.com to go to that. Also, Monday, Greg Rakestraw is in for me. So I am not in Monday. Greg is in for me. I am back on Tuesday till whenever I guess we have to be on, which I'm assuming is Friday. I know Richie McKay, the head coach at Liberty, will go that particular angle with the Pacers draft as he did with Tony East a little bit earlier. And at some point, well, we're going to get Ryan Carr and Chad Buchanan on the show as well. And this reminder, I shot video for it yesterday. 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. We are hosting the Fan Invitational Golf Outing presented by Franciscan Health. That's Thursday, August the 7th. I saw Ted Bishop yesterday. Legends Golf Club in Franklin. We're all going to be there. This is going to be spectacular, but you have to join. You have to. This is a must. To hang with us. Hopefully we're going to have a basketball goal there. We can shoot it off with you. I'll take a lot of shots, literally shots basketball-wise and liquor-wise. Drink lots of beers with you and have a blast. But there's going to be so much to do. Sign up right now, 1075thefan.com. Get your foursome going and join us there Thursday, August the 7th. We'll fire this bad boy up at 10 a.m., the Legends Golf Club in Franklin. With 93.5 and 107.5, The Fan. Meantime, on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline, the voice of the Pacers had to get him in because it was such an epic show last Thursday prior to Game 6. We had both he and JJ on, but the best part about it was first-timer Terry Denari was on the show, and it is not going to be the last time. Terry Denari was outstanding with husband Chris Denari, who joins us now. That was maybe, along with us and Michael, the owner of the District Tap, the most epic live show we've ever had last week.
I'll tell you what, that was a lot of fun, John, and I was so happy Terry could be there for Game 6. It was spectacular, and yeah, we'll have to do it again. It did not work out yesterday for us to attend Old Pros Table, and ironically, Old Pros Table is where I used to host the Butler Coaches Show some 30 years ago. So I'm very familiar with OPT. But, yeah, we had a lot of fun. It was a great Pacers run, and I was so glad that my bride of 41 years got to experience with you and I.
I'm telling you, that cannot be her only time. That was excellent. Shots were taken, and here's hoping that she enjoyed it as much as we did.
She had a lot of fun. She really did, and she's gotten a lot of people that have listened to your show on a regular basis. She's gotten a lot of kudos, and she said, I didn't even say anything. I said, hey, honey, you didn't have to say anything. You were there, and you were participating, and she had a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was great. Seriously. You know, I think about a lot of moments this past year, and especially in the postseason, and that's at the top of the list. But this is going to go down in history as some of the most fun we all had together, any sport of any kind around here this past month and a half, Chris.
Yeah, there's no question about that. I am driving back from Fort Wayne as we speak. You know, the WNBA All-Star Game is coming up in July, and they announced yesterday they're having these scavenger hunts all around the state. And I helped MC the scavenger hunt today in Fort Wayne, had a great time with the fans that showed up. And while they wanted to talk about the Fever and the WNBA and the All-Star Game, absolutely, that's why we were there. There were so many of the people that came in Pacers gear, and they just enjoyed what they saw all year long. And I think that's the key, John, is it united a city and a state around a team that I think caught everybody's heart. And, it was a wonderful year. I know it didn't quite end at the end of the year the way we wanted, but it is absolutely something that we will all remember for the rest of our lives. And we sure hope that the Pacers can get back there again. But you're right, just to see how the city, the state, everybody responded. And again, it was gratifying to see all these people in Fort Wayne talk about how much fun they had following the Pacers.
I've said, and Chris Denari's on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. He is coming back to Central Indiana from Fort Wayne, who joins us now on the road. That I think that it's not that people weren't paying attention or watching, but I think this postseason ushered in an entirely new level of Pacers fans. Maybe those that don't watch as much as we do. I think it was an introduction to a lot of folks that may have been more on the fringe that now will be, for the foreseeable future, deeply embedded, Chris.
Yeah, I think so, John. And we know that the NBA season is long and you've got a lot of things going on, and the playoffs are the playoffs and the finals are the finals. But these numbers, the TV numbers in just Central Indiana, this doesn't even count Fort Wayne and Evansville and Terre Haute and South Bend. But for Game 7, there were over 800,000 people in the Indianapolis TV market watching that game. 16 million across the country. It was the largest audience for an NBA playoff game in 6 years. And while a lot of those people weren't regular season followers, I think they will be. And I thought the biggest tribute, honestly, was Brian Windhorst on ESPN talking about Tyrese Halliburton and just what he went through, the season he had, the unfortunate injury he had. But he said, Tyrese, you have gained millions of followers. And I think this team gained millions of followers. And so I couldn't be prouder of what the organization did. It starts at the top with Herb Simon and Steve and Stephen Rails, and then with the front office and Rick Carlisle. I mean, it didn't end quite the way we had hoped, but it was still a heck of a year. I mean, a year we'll never forget. Never forget it.
It's Chris Denari, the voice of the Pacers on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. I don't know how much you can discuss it. It looks like things with the first second-round selection are etched in stone, but if you can, any thoughts? And you can generalize this if you like as well, because I stated this at the outset of the show. This is more evidence of this team, this organization, and its path with the team orientation, with the selection that we have seen, which, obviously has been about their business in the creation and got them to the 7th game of the NBA Finals. We see more of the evolution of the team concept with this group. I think we saw that last night as well.
Yeah, it's hard for us to talk. As a team employee, you've got the moratorium going on, and I thought it was good that they put out the press release today that talked about the 2 young men they drafted. And, it's the one thing that I'd like to see the NBA change, John, and part of it's due to the way the years fall. But you get so confused with guys going up and wearing one hat when everybody knows that they're on another team. But I think what they were able to do in the second round was terrific. We'll know once the moratorium's over, free agency starts. That's when you'll be able to hear from Chad and Ryan Carr and everybody else. We have to be careful what we talk about, but they've already been able to transition. As quick as it was, the NBA season went as far as it could go for the Indiana Pacers to Sunday night, June 22nd. and then 3 nights later, 4 nights later, you're in the NBA draft. But I do agree with you. I think, from my view, what they're able to do, they're able to add players that fit the culture of what the Pacers are trying to do. And I know when they can talk about it, they'll be really happy.
It's it is cool. I love the fact that they are dug in with this team concept, Chris. And I said this earlier. I think a lot of young viewers, young enjoyers of the NBA are going to be there. But at times, you and I both know this, those of our particular generation would always have in great detail a reflection of the team game being more collegiately oriented or high school oriented. And that could not be more different with this Pacer team. It is every bit as team execution and orientation as anything that we have seen around here, and certainly anything we see around here right now, which my belief is that you're going to get now even older generational fans who like that, who always have been kind of drawn to that, who see that with this Pacer team moving forward and really enjoy the product.
Yeah, I mean, I've said this all along. If you don't like watching the Pacers, in my opinion, you really don't like basketball, because the way the Pacers play, and for that matter, Oklahoma City. I thought you had a finals with two teams that were young and building, and they share the wealth. Yeah, absolutely, John. And just give a lot of credit to Rick Carlisle and the staff and what they were able to implement over the last few years. I mean, think about it. We talked about this ad nauseum a few years ago, 25 wins, and all of a sudden, a few years later, you're playing for the NBA title. And I think that's a great tribute to what Rick has done. A Hall of Fame coach, the buy-in from his players. I mean, that's the relationship you see. And once this team got healthy, and that was the key. I mean, they were not healthy in December. And once they were able to get healthy in January and get their guys back, you really saw this team play well.
Chris Denari, voice of the Pacers, kind enough to join us on this Friday on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. We'll work it out at some point this summer. We can get you and Terry Denari back on the show together, maybe on the next Tavern Tour stop or something. How about that?
That sounds good. We will try to carve that out. You usually do that on a Thursday, right?
Yes, normally. And where's the next one? I forgot. There's something else. I remember everything from the 80s, and I can't remember what the hell we talked about yesterday. But I'm sorry. We are at Taylor's Pub at Greenbrier on the north side coming up in July. So that might be one. Or here's another one, too. For the WNBA All-Star Game, we're at O'Reilly's downtown.
Okay.
Right up from the field house. So a couple of opportunities for you guys to join us if you want to.
That sounds good. We will try to make things work out for you.
All right. Hey, safe travels. Tell Terry we said hello, and we'll do it again soon, Chris. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, John.
It's Chris Denari on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. We shall take a break because we have coming up the Harrah's Hoosier Park Race of the Day. 50 in betting, 50 in dining. Harrah's Hoosier Park Racing and Casino in Anderson. If you have signed up, this is your opportunity to win. And we'll close out this work week right now with the Harrah's Hoosier Park Race of the Day.
Ride with JMV.
Ahoy, Ploy.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Here's your Harrison Park Race of the Day winner, Olivia. Fruit Snacker took it home, paid $7.40 on a $2 bet. $2 exacta was $12. The 50-cent trifecta, $9.60. The Friday edition of your Harrah's Hoosier Park Race of the Day, 50-50 in betting and dining, going to Olivia on this Friday. Harrah's Hoosier Park Racing and Casino, standardbred horse racing going on now through November. Harrah's Hoosier Park Racing and Casino in Anderson. Your Race of the Day fires back up again next week on a Tuesday. In fact, Greg Rakestraw is in for me on Monday. I am out until Tuesday, but we'll be back and lead you into our 4th of July holiday coming up next week. Meantime, 239-1070. I know Adam's been on hold for a while today. Adam, welcome to the show. Go ahead.
Hey, how we doing, John? Happy Friday.
Right back at you. Adam, what you got?
Well, I feel good about the Pacers next year. I wasn't an all-time Pacer fan, but like you were saying earlier, they have hope in the state and in the city of Indy. And I actually just purchased yesterday Colts season tickets. And I know that you usually go there and sit in the box or, the box seats or whatever. So yeah. I'll be in section 434 if you want to come say hi.
I'll have to do that because normally I'm in the press box. So, yes.
Yep. Also got are you going to be at the Colts 5K this year on September 6th like you was 2 years ago?
Probably. I have not seen my what day is it? I'm sorry, one more time. What is it again?
September 6th. That's a Saturday.
Yeah, I haven't seen my schedule yet, but I would assume so. I think anything that's been done in the past, normally I'm doing again. Yeah.
All right, and also I got some people out of North Carolina listening to you. Me and my girl went down there for about a week. I was listening to you while I was down there when I went running, and I said, "Hey, check the podcast out." We were watching the Indiana Pacers game, so
nice.
I'm spreading the love for your station out in North Carolina.
Please, more of that locally and nationwide. Adam, spread that love, man. I appreciate you.
Oh yeah, no problem, brother, and. Keep on keeping on with that cottage cheese distribution, and just like you said last time, I'm going to keep on running. So.
You got it. Well, yeah, keep on running. I'm going to try, and it's probably not good advice by me right here, but I may try to, depending upon how I feel tomorrow, I may try to play again coming up with this whole calf injury situation on Sunday. We shall see, but I'm ready to get back. I've been way too damn bored without hoop this week. I'm ready to get back.
I'll be in Indy on the 12th for that Eagle Creek. I'm doing another marathon out there at 8:30 at night. And then I also have a veterans golf outing coming up on July 10th that I'll be at. So.
Excellent. Adam will check in with us and keep us rocking in North Carolina, brother.
Will do.
So Adam right there. That's awesome, man. Spread that well. Everybody spread that wealth out. Please do. All right, there's an interesting anniversary, right? If you like racing films, one from the past and one that I believe drops nationwide today. That, and we'll re-rack Tony East if you missed that regarding the Pacers draft from last night, regarding the Pacers going into the offseason and free agency, Miles conversation, and what in the world's wrong with the Fever, who, by the way, are on the road later on tonight in Dallas versus the Wings, and no Caitlin Clark again this evening. We'll re-rack Tony East coming up here in the 6 o'clock hour. But you and I coming up on the other side as well. Do not go anywhere. It's 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
with JMV.
I am the cream, yeah. The cream of the crop. And there is no one that does it better.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Yeah, welcome back. Just a little bit before we re-rack Tony East for you. JMV Takeover is coming up tomorrow night. It is an all-ladies weekend, so much like this Lionel Richie tune, Dancing on the Ceiling, a ton of 80s tomorrow night, 6 until midnight. You know, because of the weather as well, and we haven't done this in forever, I don't know how anybody may be feeling that you do the double duty between this show and the JMV Takeover, but I got the feeling tomorrow night has some yacht rock written on it, because it's been a minute. And when you think about it, too, there have been so many themes. Last weekend, that was leading into Game 7 of the NBA Finals, we had a Pacers party, which was one of the most spectacular JMV takeovers we've ever had. But I'm thinking, coming up tomorrow night, maybe a little bit of yacht rock. 6 until midnight tomorrow night. The JMV Takeover will be on B105.7. Always a blast. Live. It's funny. But Nick is all new upstairs now, the guy in the afternoon, and he was asking me how I run things up there. And he said, "You do this all by yourself?" And I said, "Yeah, I run it off of 3 different systems. And I got to make sure we have everything covered as far as your requests are concerned." It really is old school. It's like me working with the decks. And also, too, a shout-out, we haven't talked or been with DJ Skids in a while. But DJ Skids and his mini-mix is always incredibly valuable and awesome for the show. Tomorrow night, 6 until midnight, the JMV Takeover is on B105.7. 7:30 tonight, there is no Caitlin Clark. The Fever at 7 and 8. And truly coming off a dreadful performance last night. Was awful. And really, you look back, and most recently, their fourth quarters have all been pretty bad. Last night was the worst. So last night, they end up losing to the LA Sparks. Tonight on the road in Dallas, the 7 and 8 Fever, the 4 and 12 Wings. 7:30, I believe that is on. Is that on Ion tonight, I believe, too? On a Friday night? Commissioner's Cup is next Tuesday, so no Caitlin Clark tonight. Commissioner's Cup is next Tuesday. That's a Prime Video affair. The Fever and the Lynx from the Target Center in Minneapolis. And we don't know anything as far as the availability of Caitlin Clark next week. But that is the Commissioner's Cup, 8 o'clock next Tuesday. And that is a Prime Video broadcast right there. Meantime, I mentioned an anniversary and a new release. If you like racing films, this is the anniversary of a lot of race fans out there. One of your favorite all time, Tom Cruise and Days of Thunder. The 35-year anniversary of Days of Thunder. And I believe also the Brad Pitt film F1 opens up nationwide coming up later on tonight. So a little bit of tie-in to a former racing film great, and that was NASCAR, obviously, stock car racing, with Tom Cruise as Cole Trickle in Days of Thunder 35 years ago today, and the release of Brad Pitt in F1 that is actually going on right now. This weekend opens up officially. Hey, by the way, too, Greg Rakestraw is in for me coming up on Monday. I'll be back on Tuesday, but Greg is in for me coming up on Monday, and you will absolutely love that. With Greg coming up on Monday, I promise you'll have a lot to talk about. We'll see maybe a little bit more to find out directionally regarding the Pacers and certainly the Fever over the weekend, too. And a shout-out to our good friend Lance Mallister. We're trying to put together a duo remote at Jungle Gyms, one of the locations over in Cincinnati, one of our favorites. Lance Mallister a little bit earlier. Podcast with Lance, 1075thefan.com. The debut this summer of hashtag Ask Pat, Pat Sullivan, Sullivan Hardware and Garden. I want to thanks to Pat for that too, Chris Denari as well. James, great job out of you. In case you missed it a little bit earlier, there's a lot going on, including the draft of last night in round number 2. Tony East regarding the Pacers, the Fever, and more re-racked and ready to go right now. Have a great weekend. Andy Moore, Automotive Group Hotline right now. Friend of the show, knows all with the Fever, with the Pacers draft. And that says a lot considering especially the second of these second-round selections in Talon Peter last night out of Liberty. It is one Tony East who is with us now. You know, the one characteristic that is above all else, I think, with this draft with the Pacers, Tony, is the team concept is something that they have absolutely embraced and they are running with, and both of these guys fit that mold.
Yes, I totally agree with that. I mean, I actually made a huge typo last night, and I have to explain it because I was looking to see how they fit with the Pacers. So they picked Cam Jones, and I looked at his points and assist numbers, and then I went straight to his turnover rate, right? I wanted to see if he was a low turnover guy. The Pacers are all about the possession battle. And I put his turnover percentage as his assists per game in my tweet because I was so dialed into that Pacers-y number, right? And it's clearly what, one of the things he's good at is being a pretty high-volume offensive player, right? He led the Big East in assist percentage last year. His usage was really high, but his turnover rate was really low, right? And he can play at pretty good tempo and pace, right? Like, that's a perfect fit for how they hope to play. And then he can develop in that system. He has some off-ball reps in the past. And then, of course, Talon Peter. I mean, I don't even need to explain why they at least see something in that guy. These shooting percentages look fake, right? He was like the only center non-center, in college basketball last year with a true shooting percentage over 70. Like, every other player with his level of efficiency was basically only shooting layups and dunks.
Yes.
And he dunks too. He's pretty athletic. So that obviously is a fit in any program, including the Pacers. We'll see if he ever develops the rest of his game because he played a lot of D2 hoops. It's a very unrefined yet developing player, but it's very clear why they think they can fit in the Pacers system and the way they play. And that's why I think that even if you think these guys are question marks, it makes a ton of sense why they were picks for the Pacers specifically.
Yeah, you talk about Peter from Liberty too. The analytics folks over there, he gives you numbers that you said it looked fake. The analytics folks, and again, they're not basketball, they're these mathematical wizards and such. They don't believe it. It doesn't look real to them.
Yeah, I have analytics people I know with other teams just from past work, and I texted one of them and I was like, "Have you heard of this guy? Like, is this real?" And I remember a few years ago when Terry Taylor, if Pacers people remember him, was with the Pacers. Rick Carlisle gave the analytics staff kind of credit for finding him. After he was an undrafted guy they signed, who came up through the Mad Ants. Like, they've had success with that crew, finding them some good college players in the past, and they did it again this time. So, or at least potentially, obviously, we've never seen him play. Like, those numbers just explode at you, and we'll see if it actually translates. But then to be able to hit over 70% of your twos as a 6'4" guard is something crazy.
It is nuts, no doubt about that. Comes off the bench at Liberty, but they wanted to start him. He didn't want to disrupt the team, so his choice was to come off the bench if anybody were to ask about that situation there. Again, those two selections last night in round 2 for the Pacers. So now we get into free agency and obviously the offseason after what took place in the postseason, which was incredible and will be etched in our memory forever. Miles Turner situation. I think all along their plan was to bring him back, and I don't think that's changed. I don't know after the struggle offensively in the finals if there was, any reevaluation of monetary terms, whatever the case. But are you with me on that? What they felt before the finals, they feel now going in here to free agency in the offseason?
Yeah, I think Rick Carlisle made it clear with the number one priority stuff that is, nothing really changed in terms of how they feel about him. He's a good player. He fits well with what they do on both ends of the floor. And the thing is, like, look, you're a big Miles guy like I am as well. yes, his finals was not good, right? Clearly. But you have to make it to the finals, right? Like, there were 100 other games that the Pacers played last year, and he was quite good in many of them. And people keep dumping on this conference finals. I'm like, he shot 50% in every game that series. His defense wasn't great, but, like, I think it's being a little overstated. And, again, the 100 other games also matter quite a bit. And even if the thing that changed anything is not the finals to me, it's Halliburton's injury and how that might change the way they think about their spending. But I still think that having good players for when Halliburton comes back is valuable, and having Turner's contract is valuable. So even with changed circumstances and a bad finals, it still makes a ton of sense for him to be a priority.
Yeah, completely agree with that. So what is their approach to you going to be? I'm fine with them doing what they know and going with what they have. Is that essentially what you expect them to do going into next year?
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because maybe their goals change a little bit because their ceiling is much lower without Halliburton, but they don't have a ton of options to make huge improvements just given their financial situation or make any sort of dramatic move. That's not to say they shouldn't try, like every team should try to get better. They'll just tweak their roster in some ways, but I kind of feel like it's going to be next year about, both the combination of winning with resources they have and develop, because they still are a younger team, right? That was the theme of the finals, is the youth of these Thunder and Pacers teams. Obviously, they have a couple of vets who play, but I think that'll kind of be what they look at is do they kind of need to reprioritize some of their younger guys in terms of the way they're playing this coming season. But I'd imagine not a ton of free agency fireworks or major moves for them, even though, their priorities might have changed next year.
Do you think any of this dynamic roster-wise is going to change? I mean, other than obviously what could end up changing with Bradley or Bryant or somebody toward the tail end or guys that didn't play, but what's your expectation for what it does look like? And if they do go a new addition route of some form or fashion, what may that look like?
Yeah, the thing that I think they have to think about is, if Halliburton didn't get hurt, this would be easy. But, the tax is this boogeyman we've all talked about for forever, and they're somewhat close to it now. If they re-sign Turner to a reasonable deal, that will likely cross over it. And I wonder what their appetite is for paying any or a large amount of tax this season, given that they probably don't have that same ceiling. And so I wonder if players in that mid-tier salary range, those are the guys that could be discussed as could be moved for a lesser salary or moved for future assets. That group of salary players would be like Jarris Walker, T.J. McConnell, Ben Mathurin, Obi Toppin, that kind of range of player salary on the team. I'd at least keep an eye on that to see if those guys get explored in any way or if the Pacers look to reduce payroll by moving them. Because the other factor is, with the tax, you don't have to start the season under it. You have to finish the season under it.
Right.
So perhaps they try to make moves that keep them one move away from getting under the tax. If let's say it's the trade deadline and they're, 25 and 28 or something, you don't want to pay the luxury tax for that team. They'd like to know they can make a move and get out. So that's what I would keep an eye on in free agency is, do they keep themselves close enough to the tax line that moving one of those guys for much less or no salary is plausible and gets them under? And so just keep an eye on those names in free agency or any other smaller kind of stuff. That's why I think they traded for pick 38, because Cam Jones now can carry a smaller salary than the veterans minimum this season, and he just so happens to be a pretty good player who fits their system.
Now he is Tony East, SB Nation, Locked On Pacers, WTHR, all that work Tony does with both the Pacers and the Fever. We'll get to the Fever and their circumstances on the road in Dallas coming up later on tonight in a second, but I did want to close with this. I talked to Bobby Marks on Monday, immediately following that Game 7 loss and all that went into Sunday night and now the uncertain short term going into next year. And his thought was, you bring back Miles, you evaluate, as you just mentioned. And it's interesting, we gave it time last year, and Tony, it worked out. Essentially, they're not going to give themselves a lot of time this year. They're probably going to make some heavy decisions if things aren't going according to what they hope this year, right?
Yeah, I would think so. And, those tough decisions kind of have to be focused on not only their spending, but the following season, right? What's still going to fit and work when Halliburton is back? Who looks better or worse than the season? Excuse me, Max screaming at me, of those guys that fit, right? So I'll just be very curious. I think the season and the basketball, this is kind of how the Pacers have set themselves up from a spending and team building perspective for years, where they put themselves in a spot where the basketball will tell them the answers, right? Whatever happens on the floor will reveal who they should keep or what money they should balance or how things should change. And I think they've done a good job responding to that new information, and that's why they like to be flexible. For now, right now, they don't have a ton of flexibility without, making moves, but that's not to say they can't do anything. It's just they have to think harder about maybe some unpopular or less emotionally fun to make trades, for lack of a better way to put it. So it's not like they're still in a good spot. Obviously, it's just when you lose your star player for a year, you have to think very differently and about things that are not fun to talk about internally.
It's R.J. Felton, Samson Johnson. I know Stephen Ashworth from Creighton were three names that we heard with some summer league play. Anybody else of note that I'm not mentioning here I haven't seen that you've heard about?
Those are the only three that I heard about last night as well.
All right. Tony East was with us on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. I want to double back to what I said a moment ago. We waited this past year on the Pacers, and that wait paid off. No alarm bells were sounding, but should they be for the Fever, considering the expectations compared to where this team, with or without Caitlin Clark, is presently located?
Yeah, I have to give first a that guy answer of I didn't have as high as expectations as maybe the consensus did for the team. I kind of thought they were in that 4 or 5 tier of team going into the season. Now, that said, they've been worse than that too, right? And that's kind of why it's been a weird season where it's very easy to excuse their under 500 record with Clark's missed a bunch of games. They've had a head coach in and out a few times. Bonner's missed all this time before that waiver, right? Sophie Cunningham missed games. It's obviously very easy to explain why they're not playing as well as they hoped in a season where they changed coaches, changed the front office, changed the roster. At the same time, there's a lot of games where 3/4 of the game looks great and 1/4 they just look horrible, right? And that's kind of what's been so weird is how inconsistent and all over the place they've been, even as they're developing. And they've got to figure out a way to find some consistency, and I think that comes down to getting their system down better and finding another level on defense, because at their worst, their defense just looks awful, and they've got to figure that out. Their defense has been quite poor for years. They've been one of the bottom 3 defensive teams every year I've covered the Fever. I think they can be better than that this year, but they've got to find a way to actually do it.
All right, the DeWanna Bonner soap opera, is it more of her problem or a Fever problem or just all together here? What will we ultimately learn comes down to being the absolute truth out of this?
Yeah, that was and is a little bit of a bizarre one, right? I think obviously if you're the Fever, you'd like the 6-time All-Star and 2024 All-Star that you just signed to play games, obviously. But obviously I think they understand that if it's not a fit at all and doesn't want to be there anymore, they clearly explored moving on. I don't think they would have explored that if they didn't think that the fit could have been better, the situation would have gotten a lot better, right? That's just logic. They haven't said that. I just thinking about what I would do in their situation. That's what I think the situation could have or should have been. So it certainly was not as good of a fit as I think anybody, including me, predicted it could be, right? The system was faster, and they required a lot more player and ball movement, and Bonner just didn't really click that way. Lexi Hall was much better. They switched the starting lineup. The lineups kept changing with Caitlin in and out. It just never gelled, and the fit wasn't there. Maybe some off-court stuff isn't there, like her fiance plays for the Mercury. She was posting pictures with her kids this week. I have no idea what her reasons for not liking the fit in Indiana were, but we'll see where she moves on. But the lesson maybe is just the fit wasn't there for a veteran who's fit well with Stephanie White before, and they got to figure out what culturally went wrong for that to be the case.
Yeah, they were an absolute mess last night, especially in the fourth quarter. In Dallas tonight, no Caitlin Clark. Commissioner's Cup coming up on Tuesday in Minneapolis against the Lynx. What is the longer term outside of tonight in Dallas with no Clark you're thinking about as far as her return is concerned?
Yeah, they said she's day-to-day, which could be, they don't play till Tuesday after tonight, perhaps that. But you never know with groin things, and this is that same side of her body where the quad injury was and other stuff. And, I get to use the fancy term that I don't actually know what it means, but all the doctors say muscle band, right? All this stuff can be related. You never know how it's affecting her because the road trip they just went on, she wasn't particularly good, was in quite the slump. So I think they need to get her healthy and right. They built this system with these players around her and her strengths, and that's smart to do. She's very good. They need her to be 100% to play that way, so I think they'll obviously hope it's as soon as possible because we're missing Paige versus Caitlin round 1 tonight. That's a bit of a bummer.
All right, I'm going to wrap this thing up with my strained quad and maybe play on Sunday. Is that a good or a bad idea?
You still have the boot on?
Oh, yeah. I'm trying to hustle back. I put it on especially and then tightened that bad boy up after I saw Halliburton
when
on
you get
Sunday
it up?
At my convenience. Maybe Sunday. What do you think? Am I smart or should I wait a little longer?
I mean, you got to use the sympathy card as long as you can, right?
Yeah. They just give me crap for being old, though. That's not really sympathetic.
Without knowing how you got hurt, I will not give you crap, but that is something.
Hey, man, I know you got to run here. Thank you very much. Have a great weekend. We'll check in next week and see what the hell is going on because there still is a lot happening, man. I appreciate you.
Yes, there is. You got it. Thanks for having me.